least in the next one, we're going to be seeing Abbasid and Malians. Granted, Mali, they can still go for the Pro Scouts, of course, but something that I'm more interested in seeing is actually like potentially seeing Saharan Trade Network or something along those lines with like, because this is something that we've forgotten kind of. Mali, like Malian with their trade. It's been bugged for a while. It is now no longer really as bugged as it used to be. There are still a couple bugs here and there, but it's no longer as bugged as it used to be. At least you're getting the resources, right, that you're investing into. And we've forgotten about this bonus. Malian, whenever they do complete a trade, their upgrades research faster. Kind of like a semi-deli at that point where, let's say they trade for like 10 minutes, suddenly all their upgrades only take 10 seconds to complete.
It's true. And the other interesting thing, actually, something that we really haven't seen because of those bugs so long, is if you remember, some time ago they made a change to Saharan Trade Network where you now get the javelin placements, right? With the fact that it only costs gold, defending your trade feels more easily scalable. We've just never seen it.
Exactly. And behind that, we've had a lot of trade iterations in general, right? Like traders used to cost 75, now they only cost 60. So at the moment, like trade, that could work. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see it because we're going to be seeing Louis here play. And I know Louis, he's the kind of stick to the strategies that like work. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing like a Farimba type play here. Granted, though, it is up against Abbasid, which do kind of feel like they're a little bit of a counter at times, I want to say. We've seen this matchup so many times in the past, but pretty much never in the current meta.
No, times are changing always, right? I mean, let's get those updates in. Look the amount of times we've done KPMMs between these two. But VortiX hasn't been as present. Louis also towards the tail end took a little bit more of break time, so it's kind of a question mark as to like what he's been hiding. The crazy thing is this guy literally on Friday, literally yesterday, was willing to play a show match. It was the first ever tournament game we had in season 11. Like, it kind of, I don't know if you noticed this about Louis. It's hard not to. You know how some people, like, they love the game, right? But they're very kind of like, hold your hand close to your chest, very strategic, very secretive. Louis is the embodiment of a kid who just wants to play a video game. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, the kid that likes to play video games, also a kid that likes to make walls, right? So,
oh my god. On this map,
we've seen Louis walls before. It's hard. Like walling on Frisian marshes can be kind of hard because it's not like you're out and about on the map, but like the sides are very, very open.
Yeah, and I think Louis has impressed me the most with New Frisian and how he walls it, because he's one of the people that will go to both ends and he'll like basically wall about, you know, an eighth of the map. And then he'll go for the big wall, right? Whereas I think where most people fail is they literally just start one side and work out. And it's kind of like you're not hiding it, right? Like you're more likely to get scattered around the center. So it's small details like this. And then don't get me started on the trench warfare, right? Like I call it Takeshi Castling, where he just makes all the little rooms and you're running through a maze. It's freaking ridiculous. But
yeah, you go forward with mangonels then and just wall them in.
Springolds, right? It just keeps crawling and crawling. Like, this is frustrating. But I don't even know if we'll get to that point, right? We have to remember who's on the other side here. A man who, it's not that he's allergic to walls, it's almost like he's disgusted by them. That suggests the game is going to go long. And VortiX has a reputation here, Crackety. He doesn't like long games, historically.
Yeah, VortiX also has a reputation with the Abbasid, so composite bow archer, that's like kind of synonymous, I want to say, with VortiX's style of Abbasid, so probably not going to be a whole lot of booming. I'm expecting maybe like a military wing into 2TC type play, and yeah, I do believe that, yeah, there are some technical issues going on at the moment, but we're trying to get those fixed. So timer right there, it's not 100% accurate, but we're trying to jump into the game as soon as possible. In the meantime, though, we can also talk a little bit about the draft that we've got going on here right now. So VortiX, looking at the draft here, we do see not just Abbasid, but also like Ayubids, Byzantine, Juji. I feel like these picks are maybe a little bit just mirroring the changes in the meta that we've got going on at the moment. Like, for example, neither the Louis nor VortiX picked JD here. And I want to say, like, just the week before, we've seen those civs getting picked a lot more often, especially by Louis. Like, Louis not picking JD, that's a little bit surprising to me, I think. Like, or French not being one of his earlier picks. Interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it's also, I know people are going to be crazy about the idea that HRE made it through, but like, you know, HRE did just receive another, like, you know, little tweak, a balance change, right? A nerf to the gathering rate. 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but collectively it's like a 10% nerf to the overall factor, right? So like, it was a decent hit there. And also, they were one of the civs that really used the deer shove well, right? So, like, the other one that surprised me is Japan. Obviously, it came out the tail end, but I think Japanese may be the biggest question mark on where they land post-nerf, because I think for them, this deer shove made the civ viable in so many ways, where before your only option was super fast castle.
I'm honestly not 100% sure about that. I have been playing a lot of Japan recently, and I think Japan at the moment, just with their kind of like Zerg style, like a lot more players right now are actually embracing the Yumi archers thanks to that last little buff that they received. And also, sure, like you don't really deer shove anymore, but the potential is still there with like Dark Age aggression, just getting a couple of spearmen out on most maps where, for example, on Gorge, you have the potential, like always, pretty much always on Gorge, the gold is outside of the range of the TC. So just opening up with like 2-3 spearmen and just running forward, doing a little bit of damage. It also buys you a lot of time to get other technologies in, for example, in the Dark Age, like Tawara, which scale on later on in the game. And that's like an interesting workaround, is that instead of starting off with the deer, you just start off on the berries very early on, and by the time that you're like getting pushed off the berries, potentially, you're just going to be able to gather up the sheep underneath your TC from there on out. And yeah, I think in general, Japan at the moment, with their mobility on the Yumi archers, with their very early access to the barracks, without delaying themselves too much, I think they're a very, very interesting tempo civilization at the moment.
I think you're onto something there, and there is also that sneaky little trick that, you know, you definitely shouldn't look to exploit by sending your Yumi bannerman ahead of the other guys. That maybe makes Yumi a little bit stronger than intended, but I agree with the sentiment. I think like Yumi opened the floodgates in a lot of ways, because like we are, whether we like to admit it or not, over the months, we've kind of remained in an archer meta, right? Like some fast castle builds, etc. But like archers remain like a pinnacle part. We literally heard it from Dimu in his interview last weekend, where he's like, yeah, there's a lot of archer meta right now. And for the longest time, Japan couldn't exist there. They couldn't exist later either, right? Like, we always meme them for not having crossbows, real crossbows. So I definitely feel that there's some potency there. I know you were having some fun with Kiliardi on the ladder the other day, also experiencing how viable the spearmen can surprisingly feel in the late game.
Yeah, it's... I was trying out, like, Knights Templar at the moment, like, in the current meta with the new buff to the Hospitaller Knights. They still don't feel that good. Like, giving up French Knights, like, not French Knights, but, like, the Chevaliers, it's too hard, man. It's too hard. Feudal Age doesn't feel that great there, but yeah. Archer meta, it's interesting to a certain degree, right? Like, just in general, like having those range units and taking fights where you don't even hit your opponent's units, but you're just going after villagers, can also become incredibly frustrating, because sure, sometimes like you don't trade the most effectively, but archers are just so cheap and easy to replenish that sometimes it doesn't matter if you lose out on like 10 archers if you're able to kill like 3 or 4 villagers at the same time, trade it off, because in the end, you're going to be able to reproduce these 10 archers very, very quickly. And your opponent will struggle long-term with their own economy.
Yeah, it's like, I find that Yumi so intriguing as well, in particular, because like the fact you just end up overkilling them inevitably as the game goes on. Now, like, steering it back towards the rest of the draft, I am curious about the Ottomans. I think the Ottomans are fundamentally, potentially, the most evolved civ off of Season 11 changes, because of those Vizier reworks, right? The Kinji maybe being viable, 2TC, 3TC meta maybe on the table. It feels like Ottomans might finally have options.
Honestly, I think Ottomans is in an interesting spot at the moment, where they're just able to use certain units, like the Sipahi, for example, just having access to certain units that are inherently, I want to say, a little bit unbalanced. Like a Sipahi, for example, you take that, you add a meta to it, and it has the same armor as a knight, like ranged armor as a knight, even has more, well, not more, but like has similar-ish melee armor. Like you can get to 3 melee armor with the Vizier point, not the Vizier point, but with the meta in as well. They have 155 health, which is 30 more than a normal horseman. They're incredibly, incredibly tanky, and you do always have the ability to heal up with the imams early on. Yeah. I think genuinely, Sipahi are probably one of, if not the most broken unit in the game, because they can also like take on spearmen very, very effectively because of all their bonus range. Like, you just have a couple of your own spearmen, right? Just frontline them. Sipahi, you just move them back a tiny bit, attack move again. Enemy spearmen are going to be stuck on your spearmen, and Sipahi can just start mowing down. It's kind of crazy just how good Sipahi are overall with their range. Makes me think that maybe the bonus range could just be offloaded to like an upgrade or something, like in Castle Age. Just maybe that needs to be a little bit more of a ramp up for them, because right out of the gate, they're just very strong.
I think part of it is like Miro was saying, like, technically, if you optimized it, you can attack without ever being attacked, right? It's like the idea in a melee. But like the thing is, for the longest time, despite how strong they are, people didn't use them because they were scared. Like, it's a big investment, right? Like, they do seem like they're kind of squishy compared to like a French knight for the cost. And people, I think, were really paranoid about losing them. And by the way, folks, we are getting the lobby ready. Apologies, we had like multiple crashes. We were crashing more times than a NASCAR race would, 2-hour-long one, in fact. But I think we got it sorted, so the lads should be ready to hop in. We've also tweaked the music, so everything should be good. Definitely let us know if there's anything else. Miss Univotch Crackety, they're going to ask in a second where Drongo is. Anyway, but the interesting thing, though, with the Ottomans is I actually kind of dig that they nerfed the Janissaries and not the Sipahi. I don't know if you feel this way as well. Like, they're strong, but if I had to choose one thing that I thought was cool to be their unique identifier, I dig it being the Sipahi that remain relevant over Janissary and Great Bombards.
Janissary are pretty, like, it's one of those units, right, where they fulfill multiple purposes at the same time, to the point where instead of having like a triangle counter system, it becomes a square, or like just a straight up line.
Just line.
Where it's just a line counter system, right? Because they, like the Janissaries, they do well against spearmen. They do well against men-at-arms. They do incredibly against horsemen, against knights, for example. They do fine, very fine, up, like even very good, I want to say, up against crossbows. And they're still decent against archers, unless you're talking about like late Imperial with like all the upgrades, like the bonus range. They're not that good against longbowmen, just because they already have like a lot more range, or yeomen for that matter. But like they trade incredibly well against 90% of all units, I want to say, in the game. And that's just, it gets to the point where the most effective counter I hear like the pro players say when they play up against Ottomans is like, yeah, just don't let them mass up a lot of Janissaries. If you don't let them mass up, you're fine. If they mass up a lot of Janissaries, you lose. Yeah, just don't let it get to that point. Just, you must have fucked up before. That kind of like sentiment there.
Don't let them get 20 mangoes. I don't know what the complication is here, Crackety. Like, just don't let the French player build 15 keeps, okay? Like, around your base.
If you get to that point, just don't let Delhi hit Imperial Age.
But the actually, funnily enough, like, no Delhi coming out. The other one that kind of surprised me here, by the way, like, English did get an interesting little buff to them. I thought maybe we'd see one or two of those picks starting to sliver back in, especially for something like VortiX, especially with things like Ottomans being there on the other side.
Yeah, the English one is very good, right? Like, just getting so much more food in there, it's kind of crazy, because like the buffs that received, not just on the English but also the Abbasid as well, which we are going to be seeing in here, is like they took the main strengths of those civilizations, which were already, I want to say, like peak at what they were doing beforehand, right? Like Abbasid booming with like multiple villagers, English food economy. Those were like their main strengths. And instead of like giving them other strengths to make them excel a little bit or like be competitive in the meta, they just went ahead and took the things that they were already strong at and buffed them further. These are the kind of changes that can cause an immense power creep the second the meta shifts. The second we shift to a 2TC meta, Abbasid and English are going to be god tier.
Oh my god, dude! Like, I'm getting flashbacks to it. I don't feel like I want to return to that. But outside of that, like the Abbasid pick, I am intrigued to see because of the changes you mentioned. Like the other thing we were talking about trade earlier, we have to remember the tag is now fixed, so they don't just melt like ice cream in the hot sun when a spearman turns up. Right? All of a sudden, the camel traders can live for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like they're already fast, right? So the spearmen, they're gonna have to put in the hours. It's not like we have HRE spearmen or anything like that going up here right now. So the camel traders, if we're gonna see them this game, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine, man. I am expecting composite bow archers in this matchup. Like the funny thing with Mali is that they trade really well as long as there's very few units. The second it starts bulking up and the second the archers hit castle age, they start trading out a lot better. But it's going to be interesting because it looks like we're finally hitting that 0 mark on the timer. So that means we're jumping into game number 1.
That's right, long awaited, but finally we are here in the upper bracket decider for EGC Masters Summer. Winner of this will advance to the playoffs. Loser can lose twice more, so maybe not the highest stakes, but it definitely makes a statement. Old guard versus new. loueMT in the red, playing as the Malians to kick us off with Team Elephant. And VortiX, well, he's been rapidly spanning upwards to the top of the leaderboards again after his return to AoE4. He's going to be opening up with Abbasids in the blue, mapping Frisian Marshes, and both me and Krakody are already looking and going, please trade. Just double trade. But there's only one trade post now. It's a trade war.
Yeah, fighting for a trade would certainly be amazing. But Louis already kind of paragraphs at least a little bit what he's going for. It looks like he's going to be fully kitting out his first pit mine as he's already started chopping down the second straggler tree inside of his base. So we'll be going for not just 6 houses, but maybe a couple more. Maybe we're going to see like 7, 8 houses, the full roundabout on that pit mine. Just a lot more gold early on. Yeah, okay, it's going to be just the 7th house that's going to be coming in here. But that already just gives him a lot more gold early on to play with. I'm wondering, because deer shoving is gone, pro scouting still potentially on the menu, and this little bit of bonus gold might just make the difference between like a very quick or a little bit delayed pro scout timing for him. And it's not like Abbasid is going to pro scout at the end of the day anyway, so you might as well take them.
Yeah, not the right player for the pro scouts. We have seen a few people that like that advancement wing pro scouts build, but that was more or less a band-aid for Abbasids in a bad meta, of course, back in Season 9. There is a temptation towards fishing. He hasn't actually indulged, though. Like, we've seen a lot of Abbasid players like to go for those ponds, courtesy of the fact that they get the docks for half price.
We do see the 2 scouts here facing off against each other right now, staring each other down, and VortiX, he's got to be a happy little camper here. 7 compared to 13 sheep on his side, so he's found a very good amount of sheep here early on. Do keep in mind that this isn't the old Frisian Marshes. We're on the new EGC Frisian Marshes, so sheep, they're not quite as abundant. Like, in the past, we had, like, both players being able to gather, like, 22, 24 sheep. This time around, it's a lot more tame. It's a lot more normal. We're looking at, like, 10 to 12 sheep for each players here, so not going to be quite as hefty as it used to be. It looks like we are going to be getting that Manzaquarian. VortiX aging up with the military wing. So no trade, at least it's not right off the bat here, coming in for these 2 players, but military wing already tells us that there is going to be some action coming in very, very shortly. Ooh, and we do have a villager walking out, KP.
Yeah, it's
going
to
be a dock coming in.
There we go. He's starting to set it up. So interesting. VortiX, he wanted the aggro time, which makes a lot of sense here, right? Like, Louis won't have a defense out straight away. So there's potential for VortiX to walk across and maybe build a ram here just to start harassing onto the houses. It depends how Louis opens, right? Like, if Louis starts opening javelins, I think that's when the ram's like, oh, wow, kind of free real estate here. But it allows him to, I guess, dictate what Louis' opening is going to be and then still be greeting behind this, which is something that Louis might need to scout out. So after he drops off here, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first thing he's looking for, because once you see the military wing units, you know where they're going anyway.
Yeah. The thing with military wing is, right, like, it already gives you a complete army composition. You get spearmen, you get archers, so you get something against pretty much everything in the game. And as you mentioned, like, javelin throwers, they take a long time to come out. They do counter out the archers, but if the ram's there, they're not going to trade very effectively against the ram. The ram's just going to have a lot of health there and doesn't really take any range damage to speak of. So maybe instead you need some archers just because they come out quicker. Maybe then you can find a timing to deny the ram before it even comes out. But they do come in fairly quickly with 4 units, so it's going to be quite the tight timing here for Louis. We do see the first production building coming up, and it is going to be the archer range. 4 villagers rushing that one up, so Louis knows that he's going to be on a very, very strict budget when it comes to the time that he has before that rams comes in.
Yeah, but it's going to work out, I think, okay for Louis here, because, like, usually this type of timing, what feels really powerful is when Abbasids go for the horseman. But you can't really afford to do that if you're going docks as well, right? Plus the immediate ram. So he should be able to defend against this. It's just going to, obviously, he's probably going to lose maybe, like, what, 2 or 3 houses? Because I think, like, the idea is you get 2 javelins, you keep the archers away, and then if damage is done to the pit mine, you just repair it between, right? Like, it's annoying, but not a game-ending, painful situation. It's just basically a casual Saturday for any Malian player. This always happens.
It does. But I'm kind of curious, just because like this is one of those things that has been very dormant recently, mainly because the matchup just hasn't been all too common at all recently. And it looks like the Ram is gonna finish up. VortiX already able to do some good pre-damage here onto a pit mine. Villagers getting pulled early on though, but there we go. Units hopping inside of that Ram. And that Ram, it's gonna take 370 javelin throws for it to go down. That's gonna be a lot of javelins.
Yeah, no, your armor's going to be sore. It's going to give you flashbacks to teenage years. It's going to move in now, knocking at the door, and he has gone so far. This is a cool reaction. It's a little bit ballsy against double spear, but definitely a quick way of bursting the Ram, potentially.
Not just that, it also just gives you so much more like tempo on the map, like being able to run out with the Sofa. And these Sofa have been buffed, I want to say like 2-3 patches ago. They do a lot more damage nowadays as well. This can be really tough for VortiX. Like he's out on the map, right? Like he's out on docks, and if we're getting up to like, let's say 6, 7, 8 Sofas, they can start taking out these fishing ships very, very quickly.
No, most definitely. And the other thing that I'm kind of thinking about here is like down the line, like are we probably looking to eventually scale the Filani? Right, obviously that's a few minutes forward, but something I think about here is we talked about Pro Scout's potential at the start. Doesn't seem like that. I'm wondering how much he wants to lean on javelins, because we have to remember that the old Fruma build has been nerfed in Season 11.
It has, and now, more and more units coming in. Let's not forget, like, even the Scout does plus 10 damage against the Ram, so never underestimate pulling a Scout up against a single lonesome Ram, because it does still do a lot of bonus damage. Yeah, the Ram is eventually going to go down here. VortiX starts reinforcing, though, with its own units.
Yeah, but at that point, like, you're going to be mirroring Sofa into Horseman, right? Which is, like, for resource investment, a fight you win. But for, like, individual matchups, like, Sofas will beat. So, like, a little bit concerning here. The Ram, I mean, he did at least get the pit mine, right? I don't think he killed a house on top of that.
Yeah.
It has forced his opponent to be present, but as you mentioned, with these docks going up, does VortiX really want an opponent that's present?
Yeah. I mean, this is fine so far for him, right? Like, invested 200 into Ram, took down 150 worth of the pit mine, then the pit mine was also idle, like, not rebuilt immediately, so traded out roughly even just a little bit ahead, maybe. And that's for free units, like 4 free units that he had in there. He's gathering a lot of food out on these ponds here. Louis does spot this out at this point in time now. Might even find the villager. Oh, VortiX realized, though, that his villager is in trouble there. Is going to run him away, but the destroyed dock will still alert Louis to the presence of that villager being nearby.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a dead giveaway. It's like, quickly, just like brush off the smoke. Like, why is there so much smoke coming off of this thing I didn't even build yet? And he's going to look to hunt both sides. A little bit of a gamble. So I give VortiX like maybe a 30% chance of getting out of here.
He's trying.
Wait, the
waypoints are helping him out at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like VortiX at the same time. Oh my god, the timing here. VortiX pressuring at this point in time now that Louis needs the Sofa back inside of his base. Villager makes it out alive. Not just makes it out alive, but is able to dock way in the back.
Yeah, and this is sick, right? Because like he saw the Horseman coming in. He's like, oh, wow, this is actually my counterplay. I need them all here. We mentioned already, like Sofa 1-1 will beat the Horseman, but that wasn't going to be a 1-1 fight defensively. So has to bring the boys home. Other thing as well is like VortiX is not wasteful to stay out there with the villager, right? Like you don't have to take the valuable but finite fish. The cool thing about Phrygian Marshes, one big improvement, is every single one of those ponds comes with a berry next to it, which is perfect for a civ like the Abbasids.
Yeah, exactly. Just being able to gather up really quickly there. And I mean, at the moment, Louis, he still has another gold mine in the back on his side. So does definitely still have access to fall back on too. VortiX, he's invested into a couple more spears which will get countered out quite nicely though by the archers at this point in time. Army composition wise, like I still think Louis is in a really good spot here, just because Sofa will trade out so much better up against the archers, up against the horsemen. And spearmen, honestly, like we know Louis to be really good at microing as well. I don't really see a world where Louis is gonna lose a fight when the Sofa count is equal to the horseman count. He just needs a lot more mass on the field though, but the fishing ship count, it's getting troublesome.
It's also the idea that like if we do get to age 3, those Sofa have a clear skill point where horsemen not so much. But yeah, like this is VortiX doing what VortiX does best, right? Like it's not that he's taking eco and putting it into like a macro game. He puts it into more aggression. And Malians, it's not uncommon to see yourself slightly outnumbered by some comps in the feudal age, but that's because you have quality. Louis does have Sofa, sure, but his backline is actually just squishy archers primarily.
Yeah, blacksmith upgrades are now coming in for both players. Granted, VortiX, he already had the Pierce armor upgrade. Another ram now coming in. Yeah, he's just gonna completely deny Louis the gold here at the front side, but Louis finally shifted his villagers over to the second gold mine that he has there. So Sofa production is going to be a lot more stable from now on.
Because he added more stables. I got you, buddy.
That as well. We do also have the first couple of cattle coming in, so some passive food income at least here for loueMT as well. Meaning that he's at least got a little bit of scaling to compete with the fishing ships. And he's also, like, look at that. He managed to get a villager kill in. And now VortiX is completely off of gold. So Louis knows, okay, this is, for the time being at least, an all-in play here from VortiX.
And that's how VortiX likes it best, as we know. Did he get the boot camp? I think he did already, right? They buffed the cost of it. It's much cheaper now. Sofas are going to dive in, though. And no boot camp.
He doesn't have it.
Wow.
We're getting failing Sing, though.
That's an interesting priority. But we're going to see if it works out for him. The rams are still working. The horsemen keep on diving. The Sofas, I mean, they're chunky enough to hold these choke points. And lightly takes out that house to just kind of open up a more free dive in, dive out motion. All of a sudden, Louis, he's starting to pull even on the military count here. And we cannot discount the fact that Sofas are going to be worth their weight in gold. And they're also getting kills on the gold on the other side of the map. Full commitment now comes in. The spearmen trying to carry through are going to be a little bit lackluster. And VortiX has to run home with his tail between his legs.
Destruction value for Louis, look at that, almost doubling the destruction value on VortiX's side, so managing to just take way better trades here. And we talked about earlier, having these Sofas now in great mass means that now that VortiX has given up, or rather lost the map control here, he's gonna be in a dire spot when it comes to being able to practice fishing. And yeah, every now and then just being able to kill 1 or 2 villagers here means that VortiX is not scaling that well in his economy overall. And the food income is nice, but is it going to be good enough? Because VortiX is still very much stuck in feudal age. He is now pulling a lot of villagers over to gold, so it looks like he wants to make that transition into castle age sooner rather than later. But now Louis, with the Sofa, he's got the agency.
And it's a way of denying the fishing before it fully exhausts as well, right, as time goes on here. We've even got survival techniques to burst them up. The horsemen are keep raiding. VortiX is leaning more into archers, so you see the clear intent here, right? Get castle, get composite bows, and send. A cool idea, but if your opponent mirrors castle, we can never discredit just how much armor these heavy cav from the Malians get.
Yeah, I mean, not just having the same armor as knights, but having +1 more armor than knights. Typically, like, once you go up to that castle age and you're able to upgrade your archers, for example, in mass they can take good fights up against they can take good trades up against knights. But against Sofa, which get +1 additional armor, like that +1 armor reduces the damage by 33%. Means that Sofa actually trades so much better up against archers in Castle Age than normal knights would.
And it's just a sturdy force, right? Like, it's something you can afford with this Fulani. It's just the classic build we've seen so often from the Malians, and he's ready to activate. It's on the way. VortiX hasn't even triggered the tech up yet. He's going to have to wait a lot longer than the Malians here.
Yeah, it is going to be a half Lani for the moment, but it's mostly for the upgrades that are going to be coming in. And yeah, Culture weighing 1 minute 30 seconds compared to 13 villagers rushing up the Grand Fulani Corral. He's got to hold out for a while now. Need to get some raids in, though. Needs to buy himself a little bit of time. Louis, though, has the outpost there, has a couple of units. Not the entire army, and is also going to start raiding. Only with a couple of Sofa. I think if he pulled the remaining Sofas there, he could have at least got like 1 to 2 villagers. He keeps them back here, waits for an underreaction from VortiX. Underreaction has come in, and oh my god, Louis, what was that play?
Underreaction?
It worked out.
That felt like an overreaction. VortiX just sent everyone chase that wrong Sofa and hung around way too long. What a hit there. So 5 worker kills so far on the board. We've also gotten controlling out the mid-map now with the Sofa count blowing up. It's going to be Culture Wing from VortiX, which kind of makes sense to this idea of the composite bows, but I mean, I just see a Sofa count that's only going to get stronger and stronger. We have to keep in mind that Louis just added in, like, what, roughly about is it like 14 workers worth of gathering at this stage, right? Because it's not full ranch yet.
It's not that many yet, but like that's the thing about Cattle Boom, right? Like you can delay it. It is very easy to go back into once you're able to like get a little bit of map control. You just pull a lot of villagers in Castle Age over to gold, and it just happens very, very rapidly as soon as you do get that explosive gold income. And VortiX, at least the age up is going to come in fairly soon, and he has managed to keep Louis, at least for the most part, on his side of the map. There are still some raids coming in every now and then. VortiX still ahead slightly in the economy, but yeah, the cattle, they're going to make quite a difference here at this point in time. VortiX at least sees that there are cattle in there, and he's got to feel it at this point in time, right? Like he should know, oh, we do see a little loop around. Horsemen do make it up.
Nicely done. Yeah, that looked a little bit dicey for a second there. Quick reactions out of VortiX, however. And look at the full salute. Boot camp veterancy 3 times over. VortiX, he's showing us exactly why he had so many people on gold. He wanted all the shiny toys.
Unfortunately, because of the pressure on him right now, he wasn't able to wait with Preservation of Knowledge for these upgrades. So he's going to pay full price for these upgrades, but any other upgrades, at least the blacksmith upgrades, at least composite bows, he is going to be able to discount them.
I mean, my concern is whether it's going to be good enough, right? Like, I like that Louis is balancing Sofa plus archers. VortiX starting to blob up the space quite nicely, though. We have got a crossbow switch on the way, so, like, this should be the more desirable answer to the Sofa threat. I am a little bit concerned that, like, if anyone should be going for relics from here, you'd expect it to be Louis, not VortiX.
Yeah, VortiX knows, though, that he needs to scale more than Louis at the moment. He only has the shoreline fish, which eventually is going to run out. The cattle are eternal at this point in time. But Louis, look at that double mosque play immediately. He's going ham on the relics now on his own side.
Yeah, this is a classic. We know loueMT, he used to love this play so much. In fact, I remember in 2024, I think he'd done it more than anyone else in competitive Age of Empires 4. Practically any Civ castle rolls around within 2 minutes of reaching it, you'd see this. It's actually crazy just how well he plays it, actually. And it shows you his comfort with reaching those later phases of the games. He knows how to do it. He knows when he can leverage it. And the perfect time to do so is he's diving into the enemy base, trying to force VortiX's whole army to stay at home.
Yeah, VortiX at least, though, is moving out for the moment. So far, only 1 religious unit on both sides, so there won't be like an immediate blob of relics disappearing off the map on either side. VortiX going for a little bit more of an infantry-heavy comp. We are seeing Golems coming in now as well. Perfect answer in theory to the archer count, but Golems, they don't trade anywhere near effectively enough up against Sofas, which also do bonus melee bonus damage up against infantry units, right? So yeah, they're pretty much perfect up against the Golems with all of their melee armor as well.
Yeah, it's also the type of unit that you get a little bit more value out of the archer poison arrow against, right? Because it's not someone that's just going to insta-die, so the trickle damage from poison actually does matter there. The horseman's going to be pretty effective if the VortiX, if you can get the right angle, though. And I'm wondering if it's going to kind of like bait him in. We've even got camel riders coming in to try and discount the value of this Sofa mass.
Yeah, it's going to work quite nicely, and we do have composite bows in at this point in time as well, so the archers are going to trade a lot better. Bootcamp also just insane value now on this large infantry mass. On VortiX's side, archers are going to be able to at least get behind the Sofas here. Sofas are going to do their best to trade out, but I'm not sure how comfortable Louis is going to be here.
I mean, this doesn't stop, right? Like, VortiX has such a big military lead, he's going to keep chasing. The horsemen keep forcing the Sofa to re-engage, and they're also blocking the shots coming in from Louis' archer mass. So they'll wrap around the back, they will sacrifice their lives, but look at the military count. VortiX has barely budged, and Louis is starting to go down. This is painful to watch for him right now. I mean, the archer count also in favor of VortiX. With that composite bows, is just going to maintain the lead. And so far that are meant to be dictating this fight for Louis have been completely shackled from the beginning.
There's just so many spears that Louis, he's not able to really focus them out effectively enough. No line formation, so not able to take down multiples at the same time. We've got so many units in queue for him. 17 archers, but he needs them out on the field right now. But what, he's just going to keep pushing in?
Oh my god. There's no reason to stop, right? And then obviously we have to remember that Phalanx is just super effective here, right? You can engage. The Golems then go forward to the second flurry of archer shots, going to the wrong unit type, and he's had enough. He says, I am dying or I am living off of this fight. Sofa's engaged. But the mass may still be too good. The VortiX crossbow count good enough to scare him away. That camo debuff was crucial throughout all these engagements. He never removed the final camo.
Camel still being there, and Louis, he's just lost his entire archer mass. We're seeing forward mangonels now coming in as well. And VortiX, he's got to feel very, very comfortable now. At this point in time, we do still have some raids going on. Louis actually managed to kill a couple more villagers. We don't have a reaction there on those berry villagers, so a couple villagers more are going to go down here. But now VortiX, okay, a couple more. And more.
The reason the berries are red is because they're covered in blood. He's going to keep on killing. I think now the idle notification might get his attention. So VortiX has got to make this worthwhile, but he really can, can't he? I mean, look at the count. It's a double up an army. He's even now got mangoes to try and address the archers in these choke points. Sofas are going to keep engaging, but that camo needs to be removed stat, or I just don't see how Louis is ever meant to carry these fights off of cavalry.
And we do have that attack move now onto the cattle ranches. Louis is trying to wrap around now with the sofa. Wants to get onto that mangonel. VortiX wary of that though.
Louis in desperation
Gonna
mode.
Pull some units back.
I mean, he's got
the cattle going down. That's huge.
Yeah, and I mean, it's almost like you want to delete some of your own build and just give yourself more options, right? Like, it's just so hard to come through these choke points against phalanx spearmen from the Abbasids. Just having that extra, like, damage, that extra range is huge here.
Bootcamp also meaning that they're able to survive an additional shot from the archers means that you just need so many more shots there, especially when you're like lining up the units with the line formation. The spearmen just survive so much longer. Reinforcements though are going to get picked off here by the majority of Louis' army, but he's just not able to get a big enough army count out. We are going to start seeing some mangonels now as well. Villager pull onto the mangonel from VortiX is going to be able to get it down, but villagers are going to get sacrificed for it.
Yeah, like the cows have just lined up to be politely massacred and are being ignored right now. They just look like they're fresh ribs being ready to just be thrown on the barbecue. He's still generating some food off of this, by the way. They are getting plus 20 food each, but it's nowhere near what he was getting. So VortiX, as long as he can maintain this type of military count, it's very hard to see a way for Louis to keep maintaining this sofa count.
Just a little bit out of position here. Louis is trying his best to stabilize.
Please, the camel. Oh my god, finally, it's gonna die, but at this stage, Louis barely registers sofas anymore.
Yeah, not many remaining here. And VortiX just continues like flooding out units. Louis, the queue doesn't look as strong anymore for him. I'm not sure if VortiX is going to be... Yeah, he's got enough, I feel like.
He's got launches.
It's just still so many units.
Yeah, like there's barely a sofa, and he's got knights now coming in, so it's just quicker reinforcement and great raiders. He's even diving down to the mango. The tricky little wolf from Louis is not going to be good enough. That's going to be a double mango loss here to Spearman by the looks of it. Yeah, nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, it's definitely expensive, this dive from VortiX, but it's gradually paying off, right? Like the eco lead building, the idle time achieved. He's going to finally walk out the other side a little bit exhausted. And props to Louis, by the way. That fishing, I think, is the only reason he's still in this game.
Yeah, behind this, at least, like, Louis has some resource inside of his base that he can get to now, and there are some cattle that he can take, or rather build up some cattle ranches yet again. As you mentioned, he is still getting some value out of these cattle, as they're still in the influence. Even without, like, being inside the cattle ranch, they still generate the food from the Fulani Corral. Louis, he is struggling, and we're seeing a massive amount of siege now coming in from VortiX. 3 rams, 2 additional mangonels. He's going to go for infrastructure next. Like, the first one was economy. The first dive was for economy. The next one is going to be for the buildings.
Yeah, and the other thing is the camels, once again. I think that was key last time to just devaluing what Louis was trying to achieve on the defense. It's still going to be there again. And the mangoes should be good enough to keep the archers away. So, I mean, Louis... There's going to be gaps in his production as well, remember, because he's going to be moving pond to pond to remain competitive here. But he does keep himself alive. I mean, the crazy thing is actually the only cows that got killed in the end was the mango shot from Louis himself.
Yeah, VortiX, he only prioritized the cattle ranches. We do still have some raids coming in from Louis. A lot of worker kills on both sides here so far. Both players hemorrhaging a little bit, but I feel like VortiX is still just... way more stable. It is economy, way more stable with his currently active army out on the field. Louis, though, I gotta say, like, he's done a great job of really massing up to 30 archers again.
I will say VortiX's food income is a little bit weak right now, like by comparison, so that does have me a bit concerned, but it's all about that burst that is coming in right now, right? Like, yes, eventually shoreline fish run out on these fishing boats, but VortiX is taking a more gradual approach, whereas Louis is burning through that resource fast. He is, however, still raiding, and I've got to give him props to that, because the eco lead that VortiX built up is disappearing as the fishing is drying up. You did just hear those delete keys. The fishing boats no longer have a purpose on all these ponds.
And we're starting to get to that point where VortiX, he needs to kill Louis. If this goes on, if this game goes on for like another 10 minutes, the cattle not having been killed yet means that Louis, he can come back in this one. Definitely. And he's got a pretty strong army going here at the moment. VortiX has to be really careful. He needs to get great value out of these mangonels, but mangonels, they don't feel as strong as they used to. If these shots don't sit well, this could spell doom for him, as now Louis actually has more archers on the field than he has.
And the mangoes, I mean, it's triple mango. Gonna go for the wall up on the villagers, but easy dodge for Louis. The archers are starting to stand their ground a little here. Sofa's to hold the choke point. VortiX needs more bodies on the front side of the fight here. A little bit lacking in spear count, actually. Might be a bit concerning. And the military lead that he had that was so big is disappearing before his eyes. He needs a good fight. Shots are starting to come in. Good connects onto the archers. As it turns into a full commitment to defend loueMT, those archers, they lack a front line. Mango is now being taken out. It's only 5 Sofa to try and stand his ground. And a second wave just arrived from VortiX's base.
Is this gonna be enough? It kind of felt like it the first time as well, right? But now Louis,
Seriously.
he's got still like so many archers out here. He is kiting back effectively. He's doing his best to dodge all of these mangonel shots that are coming his way every single time. But now and then, one or two do connect a little bit better than the others. But yeah, TC could potentially be going down.
Yep.
Villagers coming out though. Sniping the ram,
but the
Repair
mangoes
coming in as well.
They can go for the snipe, right? Like, that's the big thing here, and he's going to be able to keep hitting the TC. So it looks like the primary town center is going to go down unless Louis can pull off a miracle repair without Banco. There's enough archers just about to make it happen for VortiX, so a good step in the right direction. But my God, has it been piles and piles of body to try and get here? The repair comes in from Louis. VortiX, he gets baited to going after the archers instead. And remember, there's constant wood gathering from Louis. With the fishermen turned into woodcutters, he has the wood, he has the repair, and he is not done yet.
This is crazy. Louis just being able to keep his villagers safe, being able to keep on gathering. How did Louis capture both sacred sites behind this as well?
He's been trickling in to snipe reinforcements with the few surfers he had, but like nothing that seems substantial on its own. But VortiX, man, like he's just reached burnout point. You know, it's like he's gone full turbo as we'd expect out of VortiX. He has this clear timing in mind, but the timing no longer exists. You don't have Eco Wing, you don't have 2TC, you don't have farms, and you don't have villages either.
Man, these sofa raids, time and time again, they've killed so many villagers from VortiX, and now we're in a position, right? Where VortiX, he's on 66 economy units, Louis is on 64, but he has the cattle ranches, he has the pit mines. In theory, Louis is miles and miles ahead in economy.
I'm baffled, man. Like we both thought he had this, right? VortiX, that first dive, a little bit overstayed, but okay. Second time he comes around, he's like, okay, a little bit tired, but you can still see VortiX's idea in mind. But what VortiX has really done for us, unfortunately, is reminded us just how hard it is to break the base by going after the primary town center, and how difficult it is to rely on mangonels nowadays in Castle Age. Absolutely crazy micro by Louis to stay in these games, offer these fights. And, well, you know how VortiX is, right? Like, some people, they go back to the drawing board. They switch up the script. No, VortiX is a believer.
He's misreading it. He's misreading the situation. He thinks that he still has any agency to do pressure here at the front side, but it's all disappeared. There is no more agency for him to be out here. He needs to scale on his own economy front. It's 2,000 to 700 food per minute at this point in time. All other resources somewhat even. This means that VortiX now, he's in a very, very rough situation, as Louis has way more military than he does, and he's just diving past the army.
Yeah, because VortiX doesn't have a scout. Check his vision. He doesn't see this. This was so cheeky. He just ran right past the army. Full blind. The Rams are going to go in, but they go in ahead of the army? No, it can't be. The Sofa, like, they've already done good damage here, right? Like, he sent the Rams in too early.
He might take out the mangonels from Louis here ahead of time, but the army is circling around.
It is. It's a big army as well. You can see that giant red blob coming around the back here. We've still got sofas raiding into the tree line. This has turned into a bloodbath for anyone who's a villager. I would not want to sign up for a visa to Malian or Abbasid countries. And the sofa, they get a free entry, and he gets a free meal ticket courtesy of that cow economy. Insane hold out of Louis to win game 1.
That was absolutely crazy. Just VortiX kept reinforcing, kept diving the base from Louis here, but he just wasn't able to do the significant amount of damage that he needed to the cattle. Sure, they were put out of the cattle ranches, but they were never killed. So the cows, they still generated resource, and the second that VortiX could not stick around any longer, the cattle ranch is just being rebuilt, total resource gathered. We can just see that Louis is just getting so much more food, considering that VortiX was the one that invested into docks, invested into the fishing ships, not being able to keep up with the economy. That's just wild.
I mean, despite the outcome against VortiX, right, what I did respect is he had this time in his mind and he played full-heartedly towards it. He didn't look for this half-assed attempt that finds him an out that isn't really an out. It just sets him up for failure. But you just can't take anything away from Louis. Both of these players just played so phenomenally well, right? There was a stage where you just couldn't imagine a world in which Louis comes back. But VortiX, I think the thing that's going to be kicking himself in the teeth over is the fact that those cows never hit the deck, right? The only 3 of them were ever sniped down. So Louis, he kind of had a free meal ticket back into the restaurant, and just playing the burst fishing was crazy. That worked out so well. So gambly as well. Had VortiX had a single Lancer heading out there, very different game, but incredible start to this series, promises an incredible set that I think is going to keep delivering.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just these couple of raids that came in from Louis, they dictated the game, just how it kept going afterwards. And as he's mentioned, if VortiX had done the same here, there were a ton of times where Louis was forced out of his base, where Louis was forced to go on the outer resources. And VortiX just tunneled a little bit onto the main base here. And Louis just being able to hold out, being able to survive, wait for that hero to come in and save him there in his, what seemed like his last moments in that game, and just being able to survive I don't want to say a cockroach, because that's kind of like how we do see Malians at times, right? Because it feels like many times you can kill 20, you can kill 30 villagers. It is all about that passive income. It's all about those cattle. If those don't go down, have you really killed anything at the end of the day?
Your chances of winning the game is usually how that one plays out. But you know what? We've got an interesting one coming up ahead of us as well. I noticed something here, Crackety. loueMT has picked a civ that, in theory, makes no sense on this map. Excavation. The relics don't exist until you dig them up. HRE loves relics. Stone has uses, but usually later on. While Ottoman's is a bit more logical on the other side. I'm wondering if Louis is going to play this a bit like we saw Battletune earlier in the tournament, where he picked French and he basically just ignored the gimmick of the map.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to work out that well. I think Louis is going to play the map to at least a certain degree, because there's still resource that you can use stone as the Ottomans, of course. So military schools, big factor that you can use the stone for.
Oh, I was thinking more the HRE, right? Do you 2TC?
Yeah.
Do you just accept you need a stone
2TC
later?
I think maybe it's more like a preamble on outpost emplacements, potentially. Getting sprinkled emplacements in with fortification. Just gotta say, sprinkled emplacement with fortifications for the HRE, absolutely huge.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, because, we know that there's a use for it down the line. It's almost like when you had that French game going, well, he could build keeps this eventually. It's yeah, but that's so far in the future, right? And early on in particular, that's a lot of your economy digging, right? Getting stone that you're not going to use until later, which could negatively impact fast castle builds, right? So I am really curious as to what VortiX's thought process is in here. Is there a world in which he just full-on sends it in Feudal Age?
I mean, we gotta always remember what kind of player VortiX is. VortiX is a player that has game plans. He knows what he wants, how he wants to play a certain game. And here in this one, just knowing that he's up against the Ottomans, I'm not sure if he's gonna like play it to his Civ strengths or against his opponent's Civ's weakness. His Civ strength is scaling, his opponent's Civ's weakness is early aggression. So maybe just play it very, very aggressive from the get-go here. But we're gonna have to see, because we're gonna be jumping straight into our game number 2 here now between VortiX and loueMT. We've already seen the first one. loueMT just not going down. This one, we're going to see VortiX on the Holy Roman Empire here on Excavation up against Louis in the color red, playing as the Ottomans. And KP, we're already starting off with a Dark Age barracks. And we know from the patch notes that this Dark Age barracks is not for deer luring, it's for aggression.
No, it's most definitely going to be about the aggression. And the interesting thing is the map that we're on, Excavation, features 8 points of interest.
Wait, what?
All of them are exactly the same. And
what's Louis?
I think is he going
he's
military
mining
school?
gold. He's put a mining camp on the stone mine.
Wait, but is he going military school? This is military school, right?
I mean, typically, if you open up with military school, you just send 5 villagers for one trip.
Okay, like what?
This is military school.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is definitely not 2TC. I mean, this would be a very, very early prep for 2TC. And also...
Yeah, that's the point, right? Like, that's way too early to be on stone. And, I mean, this is going to play perfectly into the hands of VortiX, who is now sending out the spearmen, right?
I'm scratching my head on this, man, because, like, the only thing I could think is, like, maybe you're thinking about the extensive fortifications? So that you can like use outposts and get like, these crossbow placement. Nah, the weird thing about what Louis done here is like if you think about what this map encourages, it encourages aggro play, like Dark Age Spearmen for the point of interest. So knowing that, you chose to build a mining camp and send 1 villager out, and you now have 95 stone and 2 casters that
sending
are
out another
completely puzzled.
Sending out another villager, or he did send him back again, seeing the second spearman. He is at least going to have enough gold for the age up. That's not going to be able to be denied, but yeah, I mean, this is a... Wait, does he have enough gold? He should have, right? Can we check the gold line? How much? Yeah, he's got enough.
Okay, so likely going to be Madrasa coming in here. Actually, no, I guess, do you still tiny because you don't have gold now? You should be fine, right? Like,
it
you
would
just
be an option.
Archers.
Yeah, but like you could, in theory, go that way. It's just that the Madrasa just gives you so much food, right? Like it's just impossible to compare at that point in time. Like it basically enables you to have just constant uptime on Sipahi production, and there it is. Madrasa it just makes so much more sense.
Yeah, especially with the deer shove nerfs, right? Like you just don't have that extra food variable anymore. And sure, you could go for the sheep, you get 10 sheep, but with the new Vizier system, there's a lot more temptations you'd rather have the option to potentially lean into.
That's true. You do have a lot more choices now when it comes to that. Something that we, or at least I believe, Chad, I think I saw it every now and then just being mentioned, a Kinji play could be a choice, right? Like you nowadays, like you get a lot more tempo out of the Kinji. Like how much do a Kinji cost? I believe it was like 180 resources, or like I think it got buffed to like 170. So quite a lot of resource, quite expensive. You now get 3 Akinji for free. So thinking about that, 160 resources.
Yeah.
Basically that Vizier point now not only unlocks them, but you get almost 500 resources worth of units for free immediately. That's pretty big. That's almost comparable to the Janissary Vizier point, where you spawn 2 Janissaries for every single military school. Mind you, though, that one, you have to prepare the military schools for that.
Yeah, and, you know, I want to say compare it to having, like, you know, a double pump of Magadai twice. Obviously, the timings are different, right? Like, the Magadai would come in a little bit early in the game, but you can be quite competitive with your timing here. And I think the interesting part is, like, you know, what's your best answer to, like, a Kinji? Are you going to maybe horsemen, or do you prefer, like, archers? And if you are thinking archers, that can already be you attempting to defend against a Kinji into a Sipahi opening, right? So, like, I think that's the nicest thing, is we've been hyping up Sipahi at the start of the broadcast and how that remains still a pinnacle part of Ottomans. Now, all of a sudden, you have almost, like, the best way I can describe it is a fast castle roost building with feudal, if that makes sense, right? Because you're getting your horse archers, and then you're getting your premium melee cavalry.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind as well is that Sipahi, not Sipahi, but like a Kinji, in very low mass with a lot of mobility, one-shot villagers very early on. In Castle Age, just 3 Akinji, one-shot a villager. So you got to be very, very careful. Like, Akinji raids are crazy, crazy effective. A lot more, I want to say, even than cavalry archer raids.
You know what? Like, I think might end up becoming one of the viable builds is getting the meta point and then the Akinji. Because you
spawn 2 metas now.
Yeah, and it's movement as well.
The issue with the movement speed is that it's very unreliable because of it's reliant on formation, like being in formation. Yeah, and the game is very inconsistent when it comes to what is and what isn't a formation.
I get that for like melee, but I think like at least for the Akinji it could make sense because you typically are gonna click them away or click them in, and then you A-click, and then I get where you come from. Like I see it all the time with Sipahi in particular. Like it's just okay, I just don't have the movement speed. But maybe it's a bit more viable for raiding cavalry from range.
And
there's so many
possibilities. Do we have the answer here from VortiX? Oh, okay. We are seeing ProScout coming in now from VortiX.
And he is capturing into the point of interest now. So we are finally seeing him garrison the stone. Makes sense, right? Because like you're going to need to get these unlocked at some point. If you really want to pick HRE, you need to have some idea of relics down the line. And it's going to take 6 minutes to turf those up.
On the other hand side, we do have Sipahi coming in from those military schools. So a mixture of Sipahi and archers for the moment. Already double military schools coming in for him. Do have the Vizier point open. No choice yet. There we go. Imam point is going to be chosen here. So he's going to have some nice healing working on his side. Means that Sipahi, if they do take an unfavorable trade, as long as he's able to keep them alive, always able to heal them back up again.
Yeah, and we've seen people just lean more and more into this play in recent times, right? Like in the early days, it was kind of like a way too risky gambly type play. But I think players have just got better at the in and out motion of using Sipahi. It can be risky against HRE, I want to say, just because the marching drills allows them to catch you off guard quite swiftly with those archers.
It's true. VortiX now also making horsemen. So we are seeing that 1-1-1 army composition coming in here throughout it all. And Louis, we talked about it. He's got to move out onto the map in order to access those deer. So we'll probably want to drop an outpost here at some point as well. And VortiX might be privy to this information right now just because you can see when deer die through the fog of war.
I mean, if Louis can hold here, though, it's a really big deal, right? Because the deer basically both spawned over here, so you can pretty much deny half of Pro Scout's value from VortiX. So we'll see how this one plays out. I mean, he definitely has some advantages down the line. Like, he's already got the Imam point. The other thing that we usually see prioritized around, like, what, 9-10 minutes is the meta queued up, which you can just spawn out the stables. It's expensive, but at this stage, it's worth its weight in gold. Now, though, it is going to be VortiX poking at the gold. Should be able to force a little bit of out of time, because Louis' army is all the way over on the deer.
Yeah, we did have the immediate reaction, though, from Louis, so he is very much aware of what's going on. He's going to pull his army over there as well. Does have the Imam for some healing. VortiX invested a lot into spears, which he is going to need for the Sipahi. It's just, I mean, we talked about, right? Like, it's always so ugly trying to micro up against the Sipahi with the spearmen as well, just because, like, they got so much range, they can hide behind the back line.
Yeah, it's a bit trickier to do the like poke and move away against HRE spears in particular, but like that's also another thing that can still be a bit frustrating. But yeah, the timings are like mostly mirrored here, right? VortiX slightly behind on Steel Arrow, but shows you how good HRE economy still is. The fact that he went Pro Scouts, he's only just behind on Steel Arrow. He's also getting Wheelbarrow when Louis doesn't have it, and he has more military.
I mean, HRE has been nerfed, right? Like, surely it can't be that good. Oh, we do have some raids coming in. Horsemen are going to find at least one villager kills, 2 villager kills as the body blocking is going to force them into a weird path. And yeah, it's already a lot of value at this point in time, right? That's almost 10% of the economy gone at the same time. Louis does not quite have enough military here at the front line. Is going to trade out against some of these spearmen here. Imam's going to do their best to just heal passively here every now and then. But you just cannot lose these Imams at this point in time. But the horsemen are going to start turning around. No, he might get cleaned up here at the front side.
Yeah, he's coming in. And his archer count is already good enough to keep scaring Louis away. Reinforcements are coming in, but the spearmen were ringer-rosing the entire time. Horsemen going for the snipes. They are going to get skewed a little. Able to back away now, but the Sipahi see an open goal, and Louis pounces on top of it. Marching drills on the archers should get them away fairly swift here. loueMT coming in clutch with his reserve spears there just before the fight. was about to turn into a complete wash.
This was a really close one. Louis is heavily reinvesting into those Sipahi, though. We are seeing not just active production here at the moment from these military schools, but also from the stable there. And with the Imam still being alive, there's still a lot of healing coming in. Like that 1 week Sipahi, he's going to be almost fully healed up in just a moment.
I think the difference is, like, if we go back and check VortiX's army, he didn't have a scout with it, right? That stealth forest, I think, is the reason the Imam's got away with that. And it just shows
he did have a scout there.
Oh, he did? Okay. Was he in range? Yep. Or did he just feel like he didn't have enough firepower, I guess? Which is fair.
I'm not sure if he... I'm not sure. He was just more focused on the archers there, trying to one-shot them.
I mean, maybe a bit of an error, right? Because if you at least kill one of those Imams, your opponent can't fight anymore. And, well, speaking of Brawl and VortiX, onto the gold vein. Going to find some more worker kills in there. He got, what, 2? Yeah, 2 additionals. So, extending his lead. Louis did just get the Vizier point, and this is like the most important Vizier point in the game. Because maybe, and there it is, it's a Kinji.
Ooh. Yeah, Kinji now coming in. A mounted Jugenu. With a lot of base health, by the way, I want to say. Like 95 HP at this point in time. They've already got more health than Onimusha in Castle Age.
That's true. I mean, they have a very slow attack speed. That's meant to be the balance point, right? But what's interesting is VortiX is just getting out of the age. He sees the Akinji, so he's going to be able to counterplay it potentially. And it is a Burgrave build. Now, remember, Pro Scouts, VortiX has some runway. And this, I guess, is why he wanted HRE on this map. Like, the mind scramble of thinking is about relics. Because, like, look at the map. You can't get Regnants here.
Yeah, but this is a Camel Archer moment right now. Right? This is the... I'm calling this the Camel Archer effect. You think you're about to out-attack your opponent. You think your units are about to, like, take a lot less damage and do a lot more. Joke's on you, your entire infantry is going to be heavily countered by the Akinji because they already do 7+1 damage with every single attack, and they shoot twice.
But if I charge him, Crackety, I do 50% more charge damage.
Yeah, well, they are still faster even with you charging, and they've got more health.
Oh, this is nightmare fuel right now. VortiX. Is it just spears? I mean, it has to just be spears, right? I mean, now that you see a Kinji, like the men-at-arms... All right, he's going for it.
He's not far off from his own age up.
Yeah, to make matters worse, like VortiX, this tech up hasn't led to him now marching out of his base at a rush, right? Like, it's given enough time that loueMT is ready to dive in on the economy, and it could not be a worse moment for VortiX. Look at the minimap and what his army's doing. He was just moving out. Oh, good spot.
He does have a hunch. Yeah, he does know where the army is, so he's going to be able to fall back on that side. We're about to see Veterancy come in for the archers. That's going to be a lot more damage done there. We do have Spear in the back, but look at the Akinji. They're going to do what they do best. Take out the Spearman very quickly.
Outpost on the other side from loueMT is going to slow down any counteroffensive. A Memo Imperial Army is now coming in. Remember, those Imams are still up. The Archer count with Veterancy can now snipe them down one by one easily, though. So yeah, he just...
Oh, this is going to be scary, though. This is going to be so scary now, because the army from Louis, it's about to collapse on this front side here. VortiX, for the time being, though, is able to trade out very nicely with the archers here. But once those mass Sipahi are coming in, like, that's a big ball of Sipahi right there.
He has no spears here. Yeah, he has 0 spears here as well. It's only a handful of cavalry, so you can't really body block. He's going to find some worker kills. Louis, meanwhile, just focuses on intercepting the Pro Scout pullback. The men-at-arms numbers are starting to get up there. And the Akinji count got reset, by the way. Yeah, he had, what, 4, 5 before?
Yeah,
now down to 2. Wait, he's losing
pretty
boar. Big. I think they were on the south side with the boar. Yeah, they just went down. The Spearman.
He did micro correctly against the Spearman. Yes, Spearman, that is so important at this point in time, right? Now, Louis is able to clean up the archers pretty much completely here with the Sipahi.
Yeah, but the Sipahi now... No, the men-at-arms. Like, the men-at-arms can hold on for a while. Reinforcements are coming. Surely. Surely.
But these horsemen do 3 more damage than normal horsemen. They are different horsemen. They're the Sipahi, man. They don't care. We still got the passive healing coming in from the Imams. Charge is going to do quite a lot of damage, though.
So it turns out Akinji do not like charge spears after all. You need to babysit these like they're a newborn. Seriously, I can't believe he lost them so quickly. And he's just already lost the game. VortiX gets it in swift fashion with an HRE pick that just completely ignored the nature of excavation.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, the fights every now and then that Louis took, they were really, really nice, I want to say. But yeah, losing those Akinji, very, very high value units. In theory, completely, like, not necessary to lose them just because you can kite indefinitely, but not paying attention for just a second just punishes you so much against these spearmen, which do 50% bonus damage on their charge with bonus damage already like part of them, like anti-cav bonus damage already being part of them. Dude, I wonder how much damage they actually did to the Akinji. Like, I think they like two-shot them with charging.
Yeah, I think it's 2/3 of their health on the initial charge, and then just like actually more like 75%, right? Because like if you have a vet spear, it's was it 11 damage base, and then it's plus 28, I want to say. It's high, right? And then you're increasing that by 50% as well. It's pretty ridiculous mathematically, actually. Yeah, so just confirm it's 9 damage. Sorry, not 11, that's elite. 9 damage, but you get plus 23. So you're hitting for 32 damage, and then you get 50% more in charge. So you're hitting for 48 damage.
So you're two-shotting.
Yeah, as long as 2 guys charge, one's Akinji is dead.
That is pretty wild. Pretty wild. And with just how much health they have, it's kind of necessary, I want to say, but means that VortiX had the perfect counter there to the unit. Granted, it only works if you actually get the connection in, but being able to get that connection in, being able to take down so much of the value there from Louis' army at this point in time was absolutely necessary, because I firmly believe, like, if Louis had his full army there, I'm not even sure VortiX would have been able to beat that with his castle age advantage.
It would have been a tight one, because you also have like the trickle effect, right? It's full cav versus fast moving boys. I mean, these Germans, they put that on and run, but yeah, don't get me started. The Springles that got through there, but Louis wasn't able to thread the needle, didn't have the timing in necessary. And now it gets interesting, Crackety, because next up we've got Dry River with a Knights Templar pick.
Yeah, this is not the Dry River from ladder as well. The current Dry River on the ladder. I was actually kind of surprised. Like, I played a little bit of ladder. I was like, oh, Dry River, I know this map. I cast that one in tournaments. I know how that one works. But no, it's a little bit of a different Dry River. On the EGC Dry River, we do have up to 5 shoreline fish inside of these little ponds. On the ladder version, it's only 2. So water a lot more important here, and that's where Knights Templar shine. Mongols can be quite nice as well. They can be very competitive with their early spearman timing. But typically, what we've seen is just Knights Templar. If that's the case, they just go up to Feudal Age, get a couple of archers out, and eventually, once they go out to water, it's going to be an explosive boom from them.
Yeah, this is like the interesting thing, right? It's like, to your point on the ladder, it's Rocky River, right? And it's 2 per pond, which is crazy, because once upon a time it was 4 in each pond. And then the devs were like, this is stupid. Everyone just keeps dock rushing. So they got rid of it. And I think the only Civ I've seen try that strategy of going for the docks is Knights Templar, but here it's just an absolute jackpot. And I'm curious as to whether the Mongol player is going to try to contest or mirror, because Mongol players, more often these days, tend to just punt for the greed instead of just trying to block out the player. And it makes sense, right? Like, because for all you know, VortiX isn't going to build a dock. Do you want to really build 4 or 5 spears that don't have anything to kill?
Yeah, at least previously you used to be able to at least deer lure. Now with that out the way, if these spearmen don't achieve anything, it's going to feel really, really awkward. Maybe you could go for like an outpost rush, but that is so difficult to pull off against the Knights Templar as well, because turns out they're going to have enough resources for the Feudal Age at the very least, and you can't really deny their wood access, because they're just going to go to a different wood line. They don't need a lumber camp.
Oh no, you're trying to harass the wood? Let's just move across a little bit. It's like, well, at least I forced them away. I can kill the lumber camp, right? Right? Where's the lumber
camp?
Honestly, they are crazy for that sometimes. And, you know, like, yeah, you keep them off as Chevalier for a little bit, but, like, archer bulking is really what Knights Templar usually want to do. So I feel you on that. I think, like, the Mongols, the most logical play here is probably just greed a little. Maybe if you scout the play onto the pond, you haven't committed your dock yet, you can go for the racks, right? Because, like, the way this typically opens up for Mongols is they go in and they just build a Nuvu straight away. Like, it's the most valuable play to do because it starts generating resources.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the spawn as well, something that we could see is like double production on the villagers. That is actually something where Mongols at the moment, I want to say, do fare quite nicely. Just being able to like get a pseudo second TC going, because typically Mongols are already behind the villagers, so being able to get some double production going means that you're able to catch up on the economy side. And we've seen Mongols just become scary if Castle Age comes in, Step Readout is there, crazy amount of gold gathered, suddenly Imperial Age, and the Kaganate Palace.
Oh god,
It's one of the landmarks of all times.
but they nerfed it, Crackety. Like they fixed it. The Mongol fast Imperial is not a problem. It's not like they didn't nerf anything about getting to Imperial Mongols.
Yeah, it's fine. Surely, if we see it, should we see it, it's going to be fine. It's going to be perfectly balanced, and we're going to see Mongols getting punished for the Imperial Age.
In fairness, both of these civs can be crazy if they reach Imperial. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Knights Templar always has that one, I want to say, like, asterisk going next to the name. Knights Templar, if has access to Sacred Site.
Yeah, well, you missed the other asterisk. Knights Templar, have I got castles yet? Right? Like, it's always
Any
that
fortresses in the chat?
Yeah, if I can get one, like, dude, you know what it is? Knights Templar players are like that guy at the roulette table who's lost all the money so far tonight. He's like, if I can just get one win, you know, if I can just get one castle, I can turn this around. I can feel it, guys, you know? Like, 85% of gamblers quit before they hit it big. I've got this tonight. All right, well, let's hop in.
Man.
It's time for game number 3. 1-1 apiece here in the upper bracket decider. loueMT takes the field as the Mongols, and VortiX's reaction is going to be a pristine one for a map featuring fish. It's the best fishermen of all because they're so good at cutting wood. It's the Knights Templar.
Yeah, and look at what Louis is doing here right away. We can tell that this man is not thinking about Dark Age aggression at all. Starting us off immediately with the gold gathering. He just wants to get feudal age as soon as possible. I do see the drop-off now coming in. Villagers are going to be rallied onto food next. We do have the Uvu up here at the front side, and you know, it's there's a decent, I want to say, a slight bit of distance between the Uvu and his base.
It's just a little bit
Just
like
a 10-minute walk, 10-minute jog.
Like if you had to put like I don't know, like a metric on that, like what would it be?
I mean, you can see it on the same screen. It's not that far, right? Right? Yeah, look at that. Vorti's like, wait, I see the Uvu. Where's your base?
Can I just say, as a man who lives in a country where we measure weight based on roughly what a stone looks like it would weigh, I like that your measurement system for this is screen widths. Yeah, it's about like it's about one screen worth of distance.
It's about 3 bananas. 3 bananas on a 32-inch screen.
We just need more absurd ways of like dealing with measurements. Like the most absurd way to measure time, right? It's like, yeah, it's about like 3.5 times McDonald's Uber Eats order. That's how long this game will be.
It's about 2 boring work days. Just about 2 boring work days.
Okay, I'm gonna.
2 boring work days take a lot longer than like normal work days.
Now hold on, Crackett. I'm gonna have to call you out on that one because it can't be that long of a game. Louis doesn't have access to walls. So Kingdom of France coming in as is norm. And by the way, Kingdom of France is an interesting one because this technology, it comes in about like 0.6 times how long you need to microwave a can of beans.
You know, this is a little bit too off topic, I want to say, or a little bit too out of scope.
No, please, because we're so on topic all the time.
We're so on topic. For the Germans here, we do have something called meat cheese. Very, very famous dish. And yeah, you put that in the microwave as well, and it just kind of like it's in a glass, and eventually it just comes out on its own out of the glass. About that, like you can use that as a way to scale time.
I think the way you just described that, I think you're just eating something that's still alive. Like when a food source comes out of its container on its own. Okay, I don't think they've done
physics.
a good job killing it.
It's physics, man.
So's the moment it jumps up in your face.
Trust me, it is very processed. It is very much not alive at that point.
Well, you know what? It seems appropriate talking about dead or alive, because I think if I see another Mongol fast imp game, I'm going to be dead inside. It's not going to happen this
we
time,
do
right?
have. Wait. Oh man, this is so Knights Templar coming in here. The age up has come, and we are immediately getting like a double dog play. Like VortiX didn't stop after the first one; it's immediately a second one.
The final thing I'll say on meat cheese is when I look down the list of ingredients and there isn't actually a meat, we've got a problem. That's like making spaghetti bolognese without the spaghetti. We do have the first archers coming out, though, and I'm wondering, is Louis, like, he doesn't have eyeballs on any of this, right? Did he confirm anything of what's happened?
I'm not sure. I mean, he is building up the stable, which in itself is like kind of interesting. I mean, VortiX right now, he is making archers, so the Keshiks are immediately going to be a very nice counter to that. Though if VortiX gets some Chevalier in, he's going to be in a fine spot altogether. Okay, VortiX, he is going to split up the Uvu now. He's going to see the production building. I'm guessing the archer was like a guess, just because, okay, maybe it's just going to be Mangadai, like archer range from Louis into Mangadai, because that's something that we've seen a lot of recently as well. But now he does know that it is actually a stable, and we see more villagers getting pulled over to wood, because he knows I might need a barracks very soon. I might need some spearmen.
Yeah, didn't try to like opt into Chevalier, right? Because like I think from behind, when it's just mass Keshiks, that just feels a little bit obtuse of a solution, because the Keshiks can just sustain off of you. So definitely makes sense. And VortiX can kind of defend these ponds if he wants to a different way anyway. Like, you know, archer ships will be reasonable on the DPS against Keshiks.
Now seeing the archer range follow up as well, Louis does still have a good amount of stones, so double production on the archer range is going to immediately give him like explosive mass coming in. Just being able to grow your army very, very quickly means that, yeah, I mean, VortiX, he's going to really have to be careful not to invest into water, because if you overinvest just a little bit too much, these double production humps from Mongols can really hit you hard.
I think you're right as well. I would call it over in west, because like that would mean he's going west too much in this situation. So yeah, like 2 ponds is probably enough. I think the other issue going like 3 ponds is it's going to put you so close to the Mongol base, you're just begging for trouble. Fishing,
yeah,
he's going to get a bit annoyed, but like obviously he can just garrison
a little bit
shuffle these
harassed.
around. He'll definitely notice, right? Like, yeah, like I mean, does a fisherman really need a boat when he's already on the shore?
I mean, you can swim. Just grab the fish with your teeth.
What do you mean you're a fisherman and you can't swim? That's the moment
We do have the deer stones. We do have the deer stones also being positioned forward now from Louis, so he's going to have that Yamura movement speed very far at the front side as well. Means that he's going to have a very, very nice, like, just movement speed advantage here to his units. So like a semi-HRE movement speed buff there.
Okay, that's interesting. VortiX is now going Chevalier from a curious position, actually. Right? Like, I thought he just tried to play Spear Archers and out-micro it. But maybe he feels like the fishing is good enough right now. I mean, looking at the food income, it doesn't feel that way currently. And the Deerstone is just going to make it much harder to actually get these Chevalier where they need to be.
Yeah. And I mean, Louis, he's already got a very, very strong mass out on the water, right? Like, this is a lot of Keshiks now at this point in time. We are seeing an investment being made into the archer ship here as well. Just going to be able to at least fortify, I want to say, like, these ponds a little bit. That is, if the archer ship actually makes it out in time, because the Keshiks there, they're really working on that dog. Now, dog is going to start catching on fire. Might see a villager getting pulled here in order to repair. But the archer ship is going to make it out. So we'll have an answer to any archers here from Louis. And yeah, Louis realizes he's going to have to pull the archers back. But yeah, this is a big mass of Keshiks now at this point in time. VortiX has to be really careful. He did stop investing into the Chevalier at this point in time.
Makes a lot of sense. I think he was just kind of maybe expecting his opponent was going to go quite hard into archers from this position. But instead we see Louis stays true to the cav. He's even adding in Magadai, going to be great at just kind of flank raiding, especially considering how reliant VortiX is on wood with this fishing play.
Yeah. In this play, I don't think VortiX has any outposts at the moment inside of his base, so Louis just being able to use the mobility, it's going to be tough, but nice read here from VortiX is going to be able to put these spearmen onto the gold mine. Means there's not going to be any easy villager kills coming in yet.
Yeah, VortiX leaning this way isn't too bad, right? Like, if he starts to run out of food, he can now lean into the deer as well, just kind of like lean the entire economy that way. It would leave him a bit weak on the wood income, which is what I'm worried for him is like the way the map is spawned, it's kind of tugging VortiX two different ways potentially when you consider the resource allocation, right? Like wood plus gold, very big priority. And obviously the fishing food is going to last forever.
Coming in.
It's going to buy a little bit of time.
Yeah. It's going to go down eventually, though, and also means that what he's going to lose out on roughly like 50 wood worth of resource invested into these walls. What could be worse means that he does at least have the time to get his units into the wood line.
Hunt the Falcon.
Means that's pretty much going to be impossible to get villager kills here. No Falcon coming in at the moment.
Oh,
and VortiX, he's going to run around. Louis realized in time, though.
Yeah, we'll be able to back away. So I guess the Falcon must have been on cooldown. That would have been a high-value kill. Magadai, actually one of them getting sniped there. Quite expensive, especially considering that Louis is trying to set up for a further. We do actually have the Khan Hunter queued up next, right? No, actually just more Magadai. Interesting, like...
There is one Khan... No, yeah, it's...
Oh,
no, there is
oh,
one
there is.
Khan
Yeah,
Hunter.
I was right, yeah. You know, I'm just going to put this out there to the devs. Do you think maybe, just maybe, these icons look a little bit too similar for corporate?
I mean, the horse looks in a different direction, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Like the horse started the photo shoot. He's like, and he went, "Oh, actually, this is my good side. Yo, get a new shot. Get a new shot." Can you tell me which one of those is which?
Yeah, the right one, the one that looks on the right side is the Mangadai. The left, wait, no, it's actually the other way around.
Cracking brain is like, why has this noob got 2 Khan Hunters and 1 Magadai?
Yeah, that surprises me a little bit because the Khan Hunter, just looking at the stats, it's just so much inferior to a normal Mangadai. There's typically no reason to make more than 1.
Oh, that was perfect. Well, Louis, he's maybe just thinking mass archers doesn't want to lose the aura, I guess. All right, easy to lose one of those Khan Hunters in a whoopsie-daisy moment. Much more difficult when it's 2. And VortiX, oh my God, that's a lot of Speary boys. They're moving over to the Uvu now. And he still has troopers at home. Honestly, you'd think that we just like duplicated 2 different games. The way that Knights Templar have been able to spread themselves so wide and still have 2 armies that look scary.
Yeah, he's going to have to be really, really careful, though, because the armies from Louis are about to convene at the same side, and double production Keshik still managed to come out. We do have the fight now coming in. There's still a lot of archers here, and the archers from VortiX are just not going to be really able to take down the archers from Louis in time. There's still the movement speed coming in at the moment. About to run out, though. Never mind, that's not movement speed. That is the
Louis?
Khan Hunter.
Yeah, but Louis also just split off to try and hunt the enemy archers. So he did expose his own archers a bit, but Chevalier... Oh, they get baited in! Sick rotation. Louis comes around the back, and now he has got the ranged cav archers to finish off the low HP Chevalier. It's going to be a wipe with the Ford army. VortiX will have to go back to hiding in his base.
VortiX did manage to sneak out his spearman alive, though. So the spearman didn't go down. It was roughly 8 archers, 2 chevalier that did go down in the end. But keeping the spearman alive against Louis is so important because that is like his main army composition at the moment. Mostly just Keshiks.
Powerful comp, actually, if you can scale. Like, I mean, we see a lot of step readout these days, but this is a decent comp and army size for Kurotai play. As long as you don't throw it away.
It is. I mean, at this point in time, like 15 Keshiks, that is a very, very big army count for him. Kind of getting like very much French vibes here at the moment from this. But if you're like playing French against French in a mirror, because we do have Chevalier on the other side as well, you do always kind of favor the one that has spearmen in the army as well.
That is fair, but if they don't fight in the same age, and if it is Kurotai, right? That's always my fault with this. Like, Kurotai is kind of a balance breaker. Like, it makes... If you've scaled big feudal, it feels like it makes it impossible to lose the game on a castle transition.
Yeah, because it's like getting semi-veterancy in on your units immediately, at least when it comes to damage. Also healing, just being really, really good in those fights, especially since archers on archer, they don't counter each other. So healing actually offsets a lot of the damage taken there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also just double heal for Keshiks in particular. Pretty ridiculous just how much sustain they get out of it. And Louis is on the verge of making that choice. He's thinking about pulling the trigger, and he's keeping up the pressure here. Yeah, because like VortiX, if he tries to counter-rotate, well, he's actually due to lose a lot more than he gained. You
have one of the pilgrims getting caught off guard there. Production value, I mean, Louis did destroy a lot more so far, but it kind of feels like it doesn't warrant just how ahead he is when it comes to the resource bank. I want to say.
It's pretty insane.
He was on the deer, though. Yeah, he was on the deer. That at least made the pretty big difference, and it's a lot of double production caches here as well. And so it's like getting 1,200 stone worth of bonus resource. Yeah, and VortiX realized, okay, something's up. He's trying to go up to the next stage as quickly as possible now as well.
Okay, Angevin Spears is the player here, surely. Like, I think he needs it desperately against this many Keshiks. Would solve the archer issue.
He already has a lot of spearmen.
But do you really, like, see any value in Genoa?
The thing is that the, like, spearmen, they're still very, very slow, and with the curl tie, like, the archers are able to absolutely shred them as well. We do have a little raid coming in. Louis immediately reacting to that, though. He's going to be able to keep the villagers safe, but there's actually not any military anywhere nearby.
He hasn't got an outpost either. There's no yam. So you just can't get the cheesy ring-a-ring-a roses effect, but wow, VortiX. He sees just the archers, and that's enough to freak him out. He backs out, and the crazy part about this is if you look at the minimap, loueMT never brought the Keshiks all the way home.
To be fair, the curl tie was in the base, right? Like, if the curl tie just gets deployed, these Chevalier, they only have 3 armor with the blacksmith upgrade. Meanwhile, the archers with 6 damage baseline, they're going to go all the way up to 7 with the curl tie. And we're going to see them at, like, 10 to 11 damage, I want to say, once veterancy and +2 damage come in as well in the curl tie aura. They're going to be doing a lot of damage. VortiX, by the way, he still has his knights in the back. He's waiting. He sees the archer now. He sees the archers with his fishing ships.
Cheeky demos.
Ooh. I mean, very cheeky. But this is
double aura. This is double aura, though. This is Deerstone Kurotai. The Chevalier about to rotate in. They just got the ping. loueMT with the reaction coming through. The Keshiks are there to start blocking this out. So it looks like some villagers could be lost, but so far Louis doing a good job of dodging. And the Chevalier, like you mentioned, plastic armor cannot go in. And VortiX, he decides he needs the Angevin Empire.
It's gonna feel so difficult, though. These archers are super, super strong now. VortiX pulling the villagers off the berries here. Does he have enough food income now is the question, though. He wasn't on the deer, didn't get that very fast food income in.
He's still got some
fishing. Has to pull off the gold as well.
I mean, the tricky thing here is, like, Genoa doesn't do anything for you either, right? Like, are you really going to be able to scale Genoa's crossbowman with your gold being blocked and no Pilgrim gold, right? Because you're blocked as well. And, well, you might be blocked out of this game entirely. loueMT, he parks the Kurotai right next to the TC. He goes, hey, KT, I hear you don't get landmarks. You can borrow mine. Full setup. The Mongols have more landmarks in the Knights Templar base than they do.
Not just this, the spearmen have been focused down very, very effectively here by Louis as well. So there aren't that many remaining. VortiX just sending them forward.
What? This is an open goal potentially waiting to be scored. VortiX playing a very dangerous game. Still waiting for the veterancy, but hold the phone. We've got to dive underneath the TC. It's stacking up the kills. Look at the eco count. loueMT, how many did he lose from this?
He did lose quite a bit, but there are no more spearmen remaining now inside of VortiX's base. We are finally seeing the queue up on a couple of these heavy spearmen, but it's only a single barracks. The second barracks in the base, it's not finished yet. Veterancy still not in yet on the archer, so VortiX doesn't want to lose any of these archers unnecessarily. Just needs a little bit more for the veterancy to come in. That's going to be a lot more damage now.
The Chevalier are gone. The Chevalier are all dead, so no more raids on the other side. It's just what damage can you do here? loueMT with this many Keshiks. The other awkward part is VortiX basically rotates back into the aura, giving more damage, more heal, more capability. Not much of an army left over. On top of that, look at the Keshik from the tree line!
Oh, no, the
VortiX! He tries to shivs out against them! It's an absolute disaster! Second wave comes in, and surely loueMT should be able to lock this in!
And the Kurotai repositioning now right next to the TC. It is not going to move from this spot anytime soon. The archer count drastically thinning out. It's just not enough production here. The heavy spearmen are going to be able to just get completely surrounded. GG comes in.
What an insane game. I mean, Mongols versus Knights Templar. I feel like I see this a lot. The all-in trades. It's crazy just how frequently we see them try to heavy cav dive each other simultaneously. This time around, Mongols are going to come out ahead, but a wild matchup and a series that still has more length. 2 on the board. Louis is now 1 away from securing a slot in the playoffs. The loser still has comeback opportunities. But you'd rather feel a lot more comfortable about this. And I mean, if I'm 2-1 down against Louis, I don't feel comfortable because I don't know if you noticed this, Crackety. There's something about the way Louis usually plays. I want to say often when I see him in tournament series, he starts off slower. It's almost like halfway through the series, he goes and gets himself a Frappuccino or something. He gets the caffeine in and all of a sudden starts to take control. But he's already leading a very cozy and early point. So concerned about where VortiX goes to recover this now.
Yeah, I mean, Louis, he typically just wants to wait until he trades out in some way that puts him ahead. And we kind of see it here. Like, the second he's able to win this one trade with his army, he starts being a lot more aggressive with it, the way he positions his military. This one raid here was very nice from VortiX, but I feel like if he just kept those Chevalier alive and sent them back towards his base, like, this all in play here from Louis. Well, not even really like an all-in play, because he's just like continuously reinforcing this as well. If the Chevalier were here, we were looking at a very different game.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a weird one in some ways as well, because if the Chevalier aren't here, then loueMT also doesn't have any harassed economy, right? So, like, his army would have been bigger as well. But, like, agreed, you needed some sort of front line here. I mean, I think the key thing as well is, like, to your point, the Chevalier, if they're here, you probably aren't able to just park the Kurotai like this, right? Like, he just walked in as if there wasn't an army here at all.
Yeah. Grant, he did have the bonus movement speed on the Kurotai, which does actually mean that it's very quick. Like, I think it was the improved variant as well. Both the Kurotai and the Deer Stuns, they go up to like 1.4 tiles per second movement speed. At that point, they're quicker than infantry. Even like fast infantry, we're talking about like HRE spearmen, would be outpaced by a moving building on wheels.
What was the change they made like 3 patches ago? Wasn't it? Because I think it used to be a Castle Age tech, right? And they moved it to feudal. So like technically you can have the pack up improved ready to go and head into the enemy base the moment you tech up.
I'm not even sure if there was there was a monastery upgrade that we got beforehand, but I'm not even sure if like the pack upgrade, I think it got added at some point. I don't even think that
it got some buff like I think 2 or 3 patches ago, I remember. I can't remember what the detail was. I'm gonna have to look that up now. I'm curious.
I'm not even sure if it had an improved version for a long time. It's like one of those.
That might be it. I mean, we've seen some leans towards improvement techs as well, right? Like they've just dropped was an extra 2.5% on the improved rates.
There were some changes to the cost at some point, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think they didn't quite go far enough with that. Like, we still have a lot of the improved economy upgrades, which just never get used.
There it was. The improved one got added in August of 2024. That was the change. Yeah, it was just
exactly. Yeah, it didn't exist before. I remember that. Like, that tag just came in at some point.
And it's not that expensive either, right? I think it's like, is it?
It's very cheap.
Like 100 stone or 150. So like it's totally worth getting as we see in these type of strategies. It give you a lot of tempo, but it's time for our next game. loueMT, on the verge of qualifying to playoffs, is going to take to the field with the French. VortiX trusts in the Byzantines. It's if I feel like it's been getting better and better with every change.
Yeah, Byzantines, I mean, it's one of the things, like, right, like they were downright borderline broken to a certain degree in just a while ago.
Yeah.
Then they got shifted around. Like, their priorities kind of got scrambled. They got put on their head, and now it's like they scale really nicely, but they're not immediately broken right off the bat. So that's one of those things that I wish we could see with the Ottomans. Just a change of pace, just a change of like where their strengths are, where they start becoming like really, really good. But here with the Byzantines, it's very interesting. Just this one minute change to the cistern cost, it no longer scaling with every single cistern, but instead just being a static cost the entire time, makes it so that you can very, very quickly scale your economy to be on par with the HREs, for example. But the main difference is, like, you just supervise, or rather you inspire a whole lot more area.
No, agreed. It's crazy because, like, the other thing as well is it gave Byzantines a bit more flexibility to the way they can play the map, where they can place their production. Like, these were things that previously I'd say was a little bit more anchored and gradual. Whereas nowadays, like, we just see 2 people go up to stone and you start system up. I've even seen some people do like a 4 villager system build just to spam them that quickly with the stone.
It's kind of crazy just how many resources you get through that, but it also means that early aggression up against the Byzantines has become a lot more popular just because they do have that initial ramp up going.
Yeah, the only thing I really feel like it changes, your first Merc timing kind of sucks a bit now, but everything after that is like thumbs up, very nice. And I think what has enabled them even further is that Pro Scouts kind of got gutted quite a bit. Then the deer shove, like now that being removed, like once again, it's a really beneficial meta for a civ that didn't care about deer and previously had to worry about getting swarmed because the deer gathering was so good and so quick to get home.
Yeah. Now at this point, I mean, Louis, he's playing this quite methodically. We're seeing the early wheelbarrow coming in here for him because he knows as well, like, Byzantines, they take a little bit more time. They're not as spry, as young as they used to be. They need a little bit of time to really get going. So it means that Louis, he's got time when it comes to his Pro Scout timing as well. He can get early wheelbarrow and just try and get some economy upgrades in very early on to help his scaling throughout the game as well.
Well, I would say like one of the civs that probably was actually happiest about the deer shove change would have been French, right? Because like they didn't really resort to much deer shoving at all, and for good reason, right? Like with the discount you get on Pro Scouts, you look at these spear shenanigans, you're like, dude, I just want to get the age up quickly. Just like give me that sweet discount and that quick timing.
Yeah, also means that now the French have a lot more access to deer as well, because there's no deer shoving for other civs.
I'm still trying to figure out who I think was the biggest loser and the biggest winner from the deer shove change. Because it was so wide-reaching.
Yeah, it's probably not the civilization we would have... Like, the civilizations that suffered the most from it probably aren't the civilizations that we wanted to suffer, I want to say. Mainly, like, Ottoman and Japan. Because honestly, I think for them it was quite fine. I think it became more of an issue for, like, Rus, for example, which do already have, like, 3 scouts, so they're able to very early on already shove an entire deer pack underneath their TC. Just get an even crazier Pro Scout timing in.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, that might be good enough to put kind of a stopper on Rus's flow. Like, they're still going to be decent, but not ridiculous. I think originally the thing I was proposing is, like, what if we just moved scout production to age 2, right, to balance out the hunting cabin play? But this change to deer shove might achieve everything we need. So loueMT, he's going to get the first night out, which is pretty typical still of a Pro Scout timing. You just want that first night because getting one so early on has a lot of kill potential, considering your opponent likely has nothing to defend against it.
Yeah. I mean, VortiX, he did invest a lot into his systems, right? Like, already on system level 3, already has enough resources for the 4th system as well. Could see that we are getting that nice little cistern square coming in here at some point. Has his base nicely prepared for it, but could also try and break out towards one of the additional berry patches here on this map. We do have one just next to his...
really close, yeah.
Next to his Grand Winery, yeah. So that would definitely be an option as well. Or we could just get the Kaup square in.
The perfect Kaup U? Or N, depending on which side of the map they're on. That guy had a talent.
Why not? Why not?
Like, I swear, when
it's
that guy
everything. Every time it's the same.
It's like, but it's a perfect right angle. You know what I mean? Like that was the impressive part. It's just so consistent. It's almost like, you know, other people they're trying to keep APM up. They're rushing where they place the systems, and then Kaup, you could tell that he would just like hover where the first system was, and then slowly move down grid by grid.
He's had a game plan. He knows how his base was meant to look. From the second he started spawning into the map. We do have some night shenanigans going on here. Both players just trying their best to brace or not get braced during that charge.
Stay down is real. And this is also something I think players have got really good at these days with that opening French night. Just bringing the scout with him. And while this was always a thing, the reason you bring the scout is different these days, right? Is to basically force the stab from the spearmen so they can't actually brace and protect. So then the knight can actually win that fight.
Yeah.
Speaking of that scout, I think he's going to be yoinking from the enemy side. It's delicious time.
Yeah, he does have the ability, and we are now also getting additional economy upgrades in from VortiX, also mercenary contract now completed Silk Road, so we are going to be seeing some javelin throwers. Perfect timing as well, as Louis has just started preparing the archers.
Yeah, and Louis not being overly greedy about his Pro Scouts either. It's not one of these 7-8 scout games.
Yeah, look at the amount of production buildings also coming up. He is about to step on the gas pedal here. It's just going to be the deer coming in now, and with 4 scouts, that's going to be more than enough food income for him. And he wants to follow this up, not with just massing knights. He wants to go for the full army composition. He wants to go fully aggressive after this one.
It's quite comical, right? Like the last game this upper bracket series could be a complete reversal of the expectations we have historically of these two players. loueMT, a man who's not afraid of the late game, does quite like getting there. VortiX, a guy who would rather always avoid it. He doesn't know how to spell late game. He's too busy spilling blood early on. Instead, he's likely going to be the defender in this situation.
Ooh, Night Raid coming in. Are we going to see the first villager kill of the game on the berries? Looks like there was a pullback just in time. Scout actually goes down. Villager does survive.
Yeah, I mean,
Scout is getting rebuilt immediately.
He lost the cheapest thing, right? Archer Knight on the other side, not great there. loueMT just losing out in a big way. So well played by VortiX, flexing his defensive skills.
Yeah, destruction value very early on, just pulling ahead here for VortiX. And I mean, these early trades are incredibly important early on. They can kind of like dictate your entire pacing throughout the tempo. And the thing with the javelin throwers is, 1 pack, you can 2-shot villagers. Once you get up to 8, you're able to, not 2-shot villagers, I mean 2-shot archers. Once you get up to 8, you can 1-shot the archers, meaning that you're going to start trading out much more effectively up against them.
No, I agreed. You know, it's a little bit like when you go to the gym. A 2-pack is not as good as a 4-pack, as good as a 6-pack. It just goes on like that. And usually the problem is like a 1-pack, you don't even flex that in the gym. Usually Byzantines, that first javelin point is the, okay, you're not relevant to me yet. It's crazy to think just how much work VortiX just got in off of that first cycle.
Yeah, the more packs you have, though, the more micro-intensive it becomes. The more reps you need, the more different kind of exercise you need. So it becomes kind of difficult. Like, once you get to, like, 2 packs of, like, 8 javelin throws, just microing them individually, reacting to every single time the knights try to feint a charge.
That's true.
It's very micro-intensive. But a player like VortiX, he can keep up with that. He can maintain that 6-pack.
And let's not forget also on top of that, like, to actually achieve that many packs, you do need additional nutrients, which is why he needs to move out and get berries, a great source of nutrition. He has moved out the south side now.
Just needs to make sure there's not too much fructose, else all those gains will go to waste.
Yeah, luckily back in those days, they didn't have to worry about, like, you know, sucralose and all those type of things. You know, just healthy.
That didn't exist back then.
Exactly.
Back in the days, that didn't exist.
Well, not that we know of, all right? Like, there were the lizard people and the water folks. We're not quite sure what they...
I mean, those still exist.
True. Although...
Ooh, another raid coming in. That's the first villager on VortiX's side going down.
The outpost's still not up as well, so he's just trying to poke at it. So this is going to keep VortiX in the base, which is a good thing for Louis, right? Like, he gets a worker kill, and the most important thing is he's not now being blocked on the deer. He's still able to drag those back, but we do have VortiX with a counteroffensive. He split his army. He headed straight into Louis' base, and he's on the gold, looking for kills. Gets 1 worker kill. Second one almost killed, but gets away.
Very nice. At this point in time, though, the French already do have a sizable villager lead, just courtesy of, you know, pumping them out a little bit quicker. So Louis is going to be quite fine at the moment and does still have a very good amount of deer inside of his base. Raids come in, but this time around, VortiX will be aware, has the outpost, and placement also coming in on that. We are currently still on Cistern level 4. Cistern level 5 not quite in. Another raid coming in potentially on the berries on VortiX's side. Villagers do pull back in time. But 1 did go down. 2 actually did go down.
There's more.
That's 3 villagers.
Yeah, and also he just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. The olive rose coming in very early, as you normally expect from Byzantines. All of a sudden he has to idle them out after just investing in them. Now, Louis isn't diving in. The problem there, I think he doesn't have scout vision to see just how many woodworkers are close by. And this is classic VortiX, right? Oh no, my base is under attack. What would it be like if both of our bases were under attack? Like, you know, I've been putting in the reps at the gym. How many packs do you have?
Yeah, and Louis, he's got 3 individual, like, army packs at the moment, just out and about on the map. He's about to try and rejoin them inside of his base. But I gotta say, there's not that many knights. Like, the knight-to-spearman ratio is looking rather fine, I want to say, here for VortiX. Louis also has to evacuate his wood line. As the army mass here from VortiX, it's rather scary.
Yeah, and we do have a horseman switch now coming from loueMT. An interesting one, makes a lot of sense. His gold on the front side, yeah, is harassed out. But also, in fairness, with Pro Scouts, like, you have plenty of food. So, like, usually there's a type of play that just doesn't feel affordable at this stage. Pro Scouts allows for it. Mid-map is going to be a really good fight here. VortiX losing some of his javelins, so loueMT able to shrink that threat. Because Archers is definitely the thing he can keep affording.
And VortiX, he's kind of lost his 16 pack at this point in time, so no longer 2 8-packs available to him. Means that he's gonna have to wait for another bunch of javelin throwers to come in before he can start two-shotting archers with 2 separate army groups.
Yep, and that's concerning because, you know, at this rate, if he just remains at 12 pack, it's going to be a double 6-pack and him just watching from the sideline drinking a beer. But hello, loueMT. Caught not looking. Quick reaction out. I got to give it to Louis. He's always one of the quickest players to react to pings on average, from what I've been seeing. So we'll get back home. Doesn't lose too much. And VortiX, well, he done the right move here. He's forced the army to come back home while he's getting ready to tech up.
Tries to go for a raid, but there are units here. Louis, this time around with a late reaction to his raiding attempt. He's using so many knights.
He's lucky that those last 3 got out there. They were almost fully surrounded. That would have been a heavy hit to the count. Like, basically, he has no knights left at that stage. VortiX is getting the last piece of gold. And I think Louis realizes what's happening. So all guns now pointing at the Spaniards' base.
Yeah, but he just lost 4 knights. That hurts so much. And now the Golden Horn Tower going up inside of the base, meaning that VortiX, sure, he lost some villagers, but the Golden Horn Tower is going to make more than up for those losses so far.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be totally real here. Like, with 40 villages, he is actually competing with the French economy right now because of the system buff, right? Which I think, did he get up to level 5?
Not still level 4 at the moment, but yeah, he does still have he has the resource for 5.
Just looking for a place
just needs
to
a place to put it at the moment. Yeah.
Like, could you maybe stop trying to kill me so I can walk out and just place this obtuse stone structure? Ball play from Louis Smart. I think he understands he just needs to keep the pressure up. Golden Horn Tower is completed, though. Starts the harassment, but veterancy contract already queued up. Not much time to work with here. And no clear entry point for Louis. This big, annoying structure seems to be in his way.
The path thing definitely not helping him here. Knights now do decide to start hitting on that outpost.
The javelins?
But the archer count, it's thinning quickly. Yeah, the Midnight are starting to thin out a little bit as well. Yeah, we were at 27, now down to 13, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
No, he's just going to get wiped here. I mean, even if he broke for the Limitana at this stage, it's veteran jabs kiting into their base, right? So, like, loueMT, he definitely pulled away before it would have been a grim GG type moment. He will back away and now look for his own tech up. But we have to be real about what we're watching here, Crackety. It's not 6 knights because I've teched up really fast and now I'm going to build a lot of knights. We're 15 minutes into the game. This boy's just been gold star for the last 3.
Yeah. And VortiX also able to get the veterancy in now on those Limitani. And he does... I want to say, like... Okay, Louis actually playing this really well. Look at the minimap. Every single relic, or nearby every single relic, there are some units. So it's not like VortiX can, from this point on, like, immediately follow up with, let's say, like 3 monks and just get every single relic uncontested while moving forward with his army. He's got to be very much wary of where Louis has units at the moment.
And credit to VortiX, though, I do like this cataphract idea. He's assuming his opponent's going to be playing wider on resources. Also, it could just be a way of actually trying to secure relics on the flanks. And the most important detail is, like, Louis had a huge gap in knight production. So, like, I feel like it's quite rare to see Byzantines try this against French, right? Because knights are so good for them. But when you're talking about a player who hasn't been able to scale the comp for, you know, like a quarter of the game, catas actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Looks like we're about to see another raid, though, coming in from Louis. Just a couple of knights. There is the outpost there, but does VortiX realize it? He does realize it in time.
He's still going to end up losing... Oh, no, that's just a spearman.
Oh, that's a Limitani.
I was like, Mr. Blue Blob, wait a second. How the hell did he hide a spear that well in the groves? Anyway, main army is approaching the base. loueMT, last time this raid came in, it led to him being without gold for 3 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, some archers also getting picked off there early on. H-Up has just come in, but the veterancy upgrade's still going to take a good little bit of time here.
Gold.
And we're now at more javelin throwers than archers.
loueMT just moved north side to go for more gold. Tricky part here is, like, you said it's more javelins than archers, right? Like, but also, what has he got otherwise? It's not just that the archer count is being eclipsed by the javs. It's that loueMT really doesn't have a threatening army in any form currently.
Yeah. And the production buildings from Louis, because he wants to eventually get a keep on them in order to just get the discount, they're all forward. So if we're getting to the point where VortiX just gets like 1 or 2 Kira Siphons out, he can start burning those down.
I mean, Kira Siphon is also just super effective compared to normal. Like, it's not just the fact that they can hit multiple buildings, it's the fact that you don't have to get as close as a ram does, so you're not liable to get sniped by horsemen, shall we say. Let's see if he goes for it. For the time being, it's going to be a priority onto the damage-oriented blacksmith upgrades, as well as the damage mitigation. Ranged armor 2 coming in to mirror out the veterancy from Louis' archers.
Old Village is found, but at the same time, Stone Village is also found.
Oh, yeah, but because Louis, like, he's running through the center right now. He's trying to cut reinforcements, but he actually just whiffed on practically everybody. Oh, no, and now the gold. Well, he does sneak the workers out. But Louis, I think he just pulled all the archers up there. Yeah, so...
Yeah, the archers could just go down if VortiX spots the route in time, goes around the right side. Oh, he's not.
No, he's
missing out on the archers.
This is the life of a tracker. You want to cut them off, instead you're just following the footprints. So he does realize at the last moment, but Louis able to dodge that bullet. But, oh my god.
Dead raid.
The Byzantines are out heavy cavalrying the French right now. This is ridiculous. Louis doesn't realize.
That's GG right there. That's too many villagers. Louis does notice now. But it's almost equalized the villager count against the French.
Do you remember when I praised Louis for his quick reactions to any hit, to anything on the map?
The invisible horseman came in.
I don't know that. Can we just like do a pat down that cataphract to check if he brought any hacking equipment into the facility? Dive now coming in from VortiX, by the way. The cataphracts are actually body blocking the retreat. The knights are getting muddied down on them as well. And we're on the verge of seeing Louis being forced all the way. VortiX actually potentially coming back in this and us getting a 5-game series. And there it is, locked in off the back of the heavy cav play. He does the damage necessary to force us all the way through in this best of 5.
Yeah, these players really fighting it out teeth and nail here at the moment. And these were some really close games here so far, and all of these sets, I want to say, very, very active games as well. VortiX, this time around, he can sustain the dive. Not so much with the Abbasid Malian game, but this time around, the Byzantine Empire, with that one cataphract raid. Like, you can just look at the economy count there and see there's one nosedive there on the red line from Louis' villagers, and it's all courtesy of that one cataphract finding the villagers on the gold.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, these boys deliver, right? I think the thing is that people always perceive loueMT to just be this very defensive, play for the late game type character, but he really isn't. He is able to give as good as he gets, and I think that's what we saw here is like maybe a little bit overly aggressive at times, and more importantly from VortiX, I think the thing that's been impressing people as this year has gone on in 2025 is his evolution as a player. You go back to 2024 before he took a break from Age of Empires 4, guy had no chill, right? Like, it's very reminiscent, actually, if you remember that Malian Abbasid game, which was ludicrous to start the series off. And although he done it in there, what I want to say is on average, VortiX has become a more well-rounded player than what we have historically seen.
Yeah. Looking at the brackets next up as well, because we do still have some sets going up in parallel. We are going to be looking next up at Dry Arabia, Juji versus China, but taking a look at the bracket, because some games are going on in parallel. Anatan versus Demu. Demu currently leading 2-1 in that one. Demu actually on fire at the moment.
This is crazy. Demu, also remember, a player by his own mission in his interview felt like he wasn't on form. He had a lot of personal life issues. He's had other things distracting him. Hasn't had time to practice. He ranked himself in the top 40 of players competing at AV4 right now. That's how he felt. And yet, right now, Anatan, one of the people that we expect to see making that top 6, top 8 these days, is on the verge of elimination. And, like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Dumi was able to pull it off with what we've been seeing out of him. I think he has by far been, for me, the standout story of EGC Masters Summer so far.
You know, that's kind of how it goes. You get sick, you hurt yourself, you get surgery, you start shedding your mortal coils, rather, your mortal shackles. And Demu, he's starting to become more and more of a cyborg. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing it at the moment. The man has become a machine, now currently leading up in his set. So very excited for that one as well. Next up, though, we do have a game coming up on Dry Arabia, and it's a little bit of a classic game, I want to say. Zhuji up against China, the mirror, but also not quite a mirror. The most mirrory, non-mirror matchup.
I like how that's just becoming a thing. Because I remember saying at the time, it's like the more you think about it, literally is the most mirror-ish one you can get. Like, French Jean, you want to say, but like...
It's still different, kind of, because Jean just... And the landmarks, they just don't make as big of a difference here because they're both economic and feudal age.
Like, the biggest difference is that China gets their taxmen more fluidly, right? But Shushi makes up for it.
Yeah.
I think the idea that like keeps them the most mirrorish is the way they play the game. Like, when you watch Jean versus French, Jean is playing very differently on the way she executes herself, and also things like arbitrary timings in mind, etc. So yeah, it's definitely tightest. And what's interesting, actually, I'm quite looking forward to this Crackety, because this matchup always gets seen on Carmel. We don't have Carmel this time. Like, for once, we actually get Dry Arabia, which is, I think, a little bit maybe more beneficial for Shushi, right? Because, like, China almost gets this perk detail of, like, the Imperial Academy generates a lot of gold on a map, Carmel, that is, that has not got much gold. Safe, anyway.
I want to kind of say it's a little bit more favoring China, actually. Mainly because, like, the scaling point where you want to, like, farm transition and whatnot, the kind of things where China actually are typically a little bit better in, comes in earlier. It kind of depends, I want to say. Like, I think maybe on Dry Arabia we're going to see the Shaolin Monastery instead of the Mount Blue Academy, which we do see usually on Carmel coming in, because relics are going to become more important as well. It kind of depends on how you play China in this matchup, like whether you're going to be going for that early Song dynasty or whether you're also going to try and rush up the age as well. Maybe also, like, if you invest a little bit more into infantry during the feudal age stage and just how you use that, it starts becoming very interesting as well. But Zhuge, you need Song dynasty. If you're not Zhuji's legacy, that can always make a difference. And we're going to be jumping right in to our match point in this set between loueMT and VortiX now. Game number 5, and we've got China up against Zhuji's legacy here on good old classic Dry Arabia.
Breathe it in. The most balanced that balance gets when it comes to map gen. And I think...
Oh, no, that's not a balanced spawn. Oh, never mind.
No,
I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of resource, but it's China, not Zhuji.
I was about to say, no, we're fine. Although the gold may be a little bit more biased for China. They actually got everything they needed behind the tree lines. That is a little bit outrageous. The gold,
hands behind the
berries. Oh, my God.
That's a Marine Lordish spawn, right? Like, just 2 walls and your entire economy is safe. Outside of the deer, though, which, I mean, we're going to see Pro Scout, right? Right? Like, we can agree on that. This is a Pro Scout matchup.
Maybe. I mean, what if I just Archer opened your Pro Scouts?
What if you just react with Zhuge and then Pro Scout?
But then...
Because Zhuge always beat Archer.
But then I just walk away and laugh and Pro Scouts because I have Imperial Academy.
You just Pro Scout on the other side of the map.
I mean, this is the weird thing, though, about like the Imperial Academy. I've noticed this with China. A lot of players, instead of just defaulting back to rush Pro Scouts, have started to lean towards like opening aggro plays with all the extra tax gen to get to Pro Scouts. Which could be smart here, considering that Shushi otherwise...
VortiX, he's out scouting Louis.
Okay. Wow.
Look at that. He's just out. Oh, hello.
On the
Civ
that has the bad eyesight, right? Because like China's meant to be one of the hardest civs to out-rotate on scouting.
That's true. That's true. And now Louis, he sees the sheep in front of his base, but I'm not sure if he's going to get more than 60s this game around, honestly.
And this might actually just force him to rush the Pro Scout, so we won't even get the potential for like an aggro opening.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he's not Pro Scouting now. It's just not enough food like any other way.
No, and he's already got 2 on gold, 4 to tech up. There we go. He just increased his sheep count by like what, a sixth?
It's definitely not a lot of food in the space. He needs the pro scout.
This is the thing, Crackety. I think everyone just needs to stop being so negative about sheep roulette, okay? Because think of it. You're like, oh man, I only got 5 sheep. This game is rigged. Yeah, but think about how happy you are and how substantial 1 extra sheep would then be. If you find 1 extra sheep, that's a 20% increase to your sheep count.
It's a big reward type feeling, right? Like that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the person that implemented the sheep RNG in Age of Empires 4 previously worked at EA.
I'm just gonna like walk around the corner, clonk a sheep over the head, and it's gonna like unwrap. I got a gold Ronaldo! I got a gold Ronaldo!
No way! I got a card which gives no value. Okay, yeah. Man, dude, FIFA players, you can make them happy with just about anything.
Hey, like, look, we're not much different from them, okay? They roll that Ronaldo with high numbers, they're happy, right? If I had archers that get hand cannoneers, the number's higher, Crackety. I'm also happy.
If I had just a nice little dev blog post from time to time, that would make me very happy.
See, right there, you're asking for the number of dev blog posts to go up. You're the same.
Yeah. It's literally me. Can we take a look at the meditation garden? Just how much wood he's getting as well. We do know it's going to be 72 food per minute here.
It's not.
That's very nice.
He actually missed the extra berries.
What? Nah.
Yeah, he did.
Right? He missed one.
Okay, yeah. Wait, why is the food number so low then? It should be a bit higher than that, no?
It probably hasn't ticked twice yet.
Yeah, probably. I was about to say, there's no way that this one guy is disturbing the peace that hard. It's almost like Ozzy Osbourne just turned up on a horse.
Speakers tuned a little bit too loud, but yeah, Pro Scout's about to be coming in here now for both players, just needing a little bit more gold. There we go. Louis is going to be the first one to hit that technology button, but both, the upgrade's coming in very quickly here for both players, just courtesy of that supervision. VortiX at least going to be able to get that stable up a little bit earlier, and does already have a good amount of food as well. I mean, both players have a lot of food in the bank right now. Just pump out these scouts with supervision as well. So yeah, look at that. Morty just immediately queuing up 4 scouts.
Oh, good. We're going to get that type of game, aren't we? All right, scout count. Who's going to go higher? I'm seeing a bid for 5. Can we beat 5? Maybe 6 coming in on the other side. 6 only coming in with Louis even once. It's right now. It's on 3. Is going to try to go. No, I'm not going to do that. We're not committing to that. Because I know how this goes. One of them is going to end up with 9 scouts.
You know, looking at it, Age of Empires was the first type of strand game. There's a lot of walking going on right now with these scouts.
I mean, isn't that really why we all secretly play Age of Empires 4? Like, I don't want to walk places. I don't really want to kill people. I definitely can't afford
You just tell them to walk places.
That's the other thing, right? Like, actually, shouldn't we attract a lot more youthful gamers to Age of Empires 4, right? Because, like, they're the ones that are sick of having their parents tell them to do the dishes, and now they get to tell someone else to do things.
When can I ask my Uber to do my dishes?
Give them like 2 years.
From Uber Eats to Uber Dishes?
You're gonna need a better name. Uber Cleans. Uber Cleans. That's the one.
There we go. We're gonna lock it in right there. If they actually do go for that name,
10% cut.
we're gonna sue them.
So we have got Spear on Spear now, by the way. So this is like interesting, right? Like Season 9, it would have just been who can build more scouts. Nowadays, it feels as if there's enough time to truly get value out of these spearmen.
I mean, Spearman now coming in, things are starting to slow down a little bit at this point in time. The question is just how much are you going to invest into these spears, and eventually are you going to add in some Shuganu as well? Because like Mass Shuganu, they can really hit you hard in the timing because China can't get them, right? Like they got to go Song first before they can get Juganu. So they have to react with horsemen, and you already have the counter with the spearmen. So it's going to be very difficult for China to really react, I want to say.
I think the awkwardness, though, that comes in for Shushi is when you get a bit too stuck in the spearing, because you don't have archers and they do, right? So like it's a very weird dynamic, I find. Like Shugo Nu feel like the bread and butter if the feudal goes deep enough, but if it's like a light splodgening of feudal, the archer timing can be actually quite impactful. In fact, it's exactly what Louis is now going for.
Yeah, but no feudal age play here at all from VortiX. He is already well on his way to reach Castle Age now. Is it going to be Mount Lu? It is going to be Mount Lu. Okay, so we're not going to see any urgency when it comes to relic gathering from him.
I feel like almost every game has become Mount Lu. It's weird as well, because it started off...
I feel like it makes sense on Carmel, but I'm not sure about Dry Arabia. Okay, there we go. I mean, that's good resource right there.
I think it makes sense on any map where you feel like you're going to split the deer. Because of the like extra food trickle, right? And also actually like the quality units. Like if you think both you go Lancers, I mean Sushi should be slightly favored anyway, but with the better supervision, it just allows you to vomit out so many knights.
Yeah, you don't need as many production buildings, but eventually you want to just I think it can kind of like be a double-edged sword as well, because it makes you lazy about supervising resource buildings at some point as well. Because ideally, you still want to be supervising your production, not your production, but your income buildings, your economy buildings.
Yeah, and I think like this is going to be an interesting one. Do we just get the Imperial Palace? I don't think he needs it from this position, right? Like Louis, okay. I wondered because of the way he'd walled already, like he just felt as if he could slow roll this, because China's been kind of edging out on the win rates, I believe, in this matchup, and it's normally because of like the spear crossbow focus, right? Like they don't get suckered into the lancer spam as much.
That's true. Just having more infantry here, and he's already walled the sides off, so it's going to be very much a one-dimensional attack from VortiX because he can only go through the middle. That makes it a lot more simple to defend with your slow-moving infantry. And now Castle Age follow-up has been very quick. We do already have VortiX getting the first monks out. We'll start picking off some of these relics. 4 lances so far already. Oh, he has to be careful though. The spearman.
Oops.
That's a major part of your vision right now. Don't want to lose all of them. Didn't want to give those 2 deer up, but I don't think he's really got a choice there at this point in time.
Yeah, so, I mean, at the end, though, because he went Mount Lu Academy, he'll have somewhat a comparable economy. I guess the concern now is, like, Louis, his next goal is trying to just split the relics, and then if he succeeds in that, you get that kind of organic timing to, like, a Barbican, that gradual eco-scaling, and I don't know, I feel like China's just a little bit better than Shushi on average at making that farm transition work if you reach that stage.
Yeah, if you get to Song Dynasty, the farm transition certainly is a lot easier for Zhuji. Depending on when you get Song, though, China makes up for it with having more villagers. We do have the raids coming in now, though. Lots of lances coming in from multiple angles, and I do feel like the majority of the army here from Louis is a little bit out of position. He is trying to protect some of the relics. He's going to actually be able to find a monk kill here in a little bit, I believe. As we do already have some units guarding the relic that VortiX is walking towards.
Yeah, Louis sneaking wide, though. He's moving towards the gold vein at the back of VortiX's base, so it'll be important to keep an eye on that as we get closer. In the meantime, it is just turning into a bit of a scramble across the map. VortiX is rallying practically all of his cavalry towards one location, though.
Yes, and now we are seeing the switch up into crossbows. When like he is going heavily into lances at this point. He's going to need some really, really good trades here.
Yeah, the issue is, like, does Louis feel like he truly needs to come out? Like, yeah, the relic game's important, right? But outside that, you know, if you think about this spawn, we talked about at the start, Marine Lord blessed this, right? Before both of them hopped on this map, Marine Lord walked by in a full monk uniform, said some Latin, and then walked off. And this is what happens. Double gold in the back, stone, berries if you need extra reserve resources, double tree line for to protect. Like, you know, there's not much more Louis could have asked for with his spawn.
More spearmen coming in now as well.
Wait,
Yeah,
is he
he needs to, like, yes, like he's got like two groups here at this point in time. Like one big lancer group in the middle as well. VortiX for getting in 2 relics. I think it's going to be a 3-2 relic split. There's about to be a raid coming in the back line, though, from... It's not like anything massive, just a couple of spears.
Yeah, it was taking a long time to actually mature. He'd been sitting there for a while, actually. So I guess he was waiting for the moment where VortiX wouldn't be looking to go in for the dive, but VortiX just quick on the fingers, able to pull away successfully. His Lancers just not really catchable right now for Louis. And we don't have any scale point of benefit, right? We don't have Song Dynasty. We don't have a move towards farms yet. Like Louis is just stuck scaling a linear comp. But what could get interesting here, Crackety, we've seen this even on maps like Carmel, is you actually reach a point where you're able to just march all the way across the map and jump into the enemy base.
At the same time, looks like VortiX was able to.
He already got in.
Not get it. Yeah, he didn't get any. He didn't get any villager kills though.
Yeah, I like this. Like this is a nice way of actually resolving this best of 5. But you think about like the whoopsie we had, like that one slip up with the Cataphract in game 4 that really did consolidate us getting to this game 5. Like so far, the players' magical fingers have been dodging death time and time again, and the relic split even looks like it's going to be as close to even as you can get, with VortiX taking a slight lead.
I'm a little bit worried for VortiX at the moment, though. Just army composition-wise, he still doesn't really have anything that can compete with what Louis is bringing out on the field. Like, just mass spearmen, mass crossbows at this point in time. Walls are pretty much fully set up, but there we go. Finally, the archery range transition is coming in. And with the Mount Lou Academy, he's going to be able to pump these units out very, very quickly. And he is going to need them very, very quickly.
So repeat crossbows is a defense idea, and I mean Louis, this is just hunker down now, right? Like you have to now ask, okay, was 3 relics enough for Sushi? Like, is that enough to satiate them? Because it feels as if he's going to be maybe like what 2 minutes later towards a farm transition timing at this rate, maybe more.
Could potentially be more. VortiX could also be going for Dynasty soon, for Song Dynasty. He's gonna eventually need the make the food switch over. Oh no, there's only Jugunu. No crossbows.
Whoops.
Knights are gonna have to run back.
If he dives a little bit deep, I mean, he's focusing on just actually grinding down the military right now.
That's good. That's good for VortiX. He could have suffered a lot heavier losses here.
You know why, right? You know why Louis chose this instead? Is because he's prepping that farm transition. Like, look at the wood income. So I think he was paranoid about getting all in, because we have God Vision. We can see VortiX's army is actually really underwhelming. Louis doesn't know that. And considering the type of player that VortiX is, it kind of makes sense why he was freaking out a bit about the military.
Seeing more armored units coming in now as well for Louis. VortiX, though, he could also add in a lot of crossbows to his army mix. At this point in time, like the Shuganu mass, they're just growing really, really rapidly. And we do have the unique upgrade for Juji as well. So the Shuganu have plus half a tile of range.
Yeah.
So have equal range as the crossbows. And also do a lot more damage to the spearmen. So they typically, like mass infantry, can survive a long time up against Shuganu. Not really with this upgrade. They suddenly start taking a lot more damage.
And we have to remember, like, this is a game where Louis chose Imperial Palace, weirdly enough. Like, I'm not even sure if he's been using the ability with where, like, those Lancers went. He could have had Siege Clock Tower, which would have given him, like, 2 free Nester Bees, and then all of a sudden this strategy for VortiX just doesn't make sense. But instead, Siege feels a bit too flimsy. Instead, we've now got loueMT just pivoting into Palace Guard.
You also have Louis just like having a couple of units here and there behind, or rather on VortiX's side. The scout in the back, so he always knows when VortiX goes out to the gold, when VortiX goes out to the next berry patch there. And now, just this one troop of units, which has been sent out along the entire back edge of the map. VortiX has no clue about this. He didn't wall his other side. This is going to catch him completely off guard.
Especially if Louis uses the ability on Imperial Palace, right? Like, he'll be able to just find the targets. He won't be riding in blind whatsoever. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. And Louis, he's actually anticipating that he can force VortiX into that farm transition, guarding the boar in case that's not the case. VortiX, I mean, at 43 Chuk, you've got to feel like it's go time soon, right? Like, the longer you wait here, the more likely your opponent has actually now insulated himself with heavily armored units.
It's like you might know that something's up in regards to a raid coming in.
On the back side.
Connections being made.
Oh, wait, I forgot. We're watching Sushi versus Chinese. No one should really lose that many villagers. It looks like you will strike down 1 or 2, but it's the benefit of your housing providing garrison slots.
Yeah, it's kind of it's one of those things, right? Just where you think, okay, I'm gonna get a lot of villager kills, but it's like, oh yeah, there's like 5 outposts worth of garrison spots.
Oh, let me call it what it really is. It's BS, okay? Why can they hide in their housing, but everyone else forgets their keys and dies at the door? Answer me that.
It's American houses. They don't lock their doors.
I mean, and yeah, actually that makes sense. Like, with the door frames, I guess a lot of them are, like, big enough that a horse could get inside the house. You know how Americans are with the suburban houses, like, they're huge. Lancers are going to get blocked out now, and we've got the ram spam timing. VortiX going up to 5.
Yeah. I mean, Louis, all of the resource that he's just invested into farms, VortiX is investing into rams. And that's scary, actually, because if he gets onto the infrastructure, like villages, for example, are just very difficult to replace because they take up a lot of space.
And
if you're under attack, you're going to struggle for it.
We've seen this once already this series. VortiX is all-in ram timing and siege timing in game number 1, where it was an overextension, the economy kept pumping. Well, this isn't Marlians, right? So there isn't just this magical creature sitting there giving you food for free. No, if you hit those farms, if you shut them down, Louis will starve.
Crossbows now coming in as well for VortiX, only as a reaction though, so it's going to take a while for them to come in, and it looks like he has decided on an angle from where he wants to push in. Gonna take a while for these crossbows to come in. Even more rams. Yeah, why not? 4 more rams.
I mean, I kind of respect it because you just shoot them and then backed away, right? So, like, if you come back again with the same amount of rams, am I really scared anymore? Like, you've really just got to lean into the shock and awe factor here, Crackety. And Louis is so inspired by Chuganu, he's actually now mirroring the play from
I want to
60 behind.
channel an old wisdom at this point in time.
Okay.
Remind yourself, Snooper, rams suck. I know you want to make them. There's a Barbican there. That's where the clip cuts off. That's what I know. Yeah, that's how I know.
But, like, I mean, I see it a different way. VortiX, he's a smart cookie. He's realized that rams give you anxiety. And I would be scared of this.
Looks like we're all the way back in 2021. Yeah, it's baby. A lot of rams now. Oh, we're getting Nest of Beasts at the same time. Oh, this could be...
Wait, if he gets them all in position, he could actually free hit a Barbican. But like, this has happened before. Remember the final ram attempt by VortiX in game 1? He sent them in without an army. Oh, God.
This time, though, the army's here. You just cannot clump up against the Nest of Beasts.
In this tiny choke point where you're going to clump up. It's only one Nest of Beasts so far, to be fair. loueMT's been a little bit lean, but remember, he's able to supervise. That's the difference. They're not clock tower short, but they come out swift. Barbican is going to be in trouble. Like, this is the comical thing. When that Barbican goes down, it's still a choke point that Nest of Beasts can use because it's a landmark. It doesn't disappear. Oh, boy.
That's right. At the same time, I mean...
No, those aren't your
I'm not sure who this trade is going to be... favoring.
I think it's favoring Louis. Like, double Nest of Beasts, and you've just got 2 crossbows now. Like, these rams will stop him from getting any deeper.
Where did the knights go? They just disappeared.
They had to go to the death ball. Like, there's nowhere else for them to be. This is ridiculous. He's also getting raided on the other side by 1 or 2 knights. He's going to lose the bulk of the Chuganu, and the all-in's going to fail.
And there it is. What? Not enough mass remaining. And yeah, I mean, in the end, like, if you invest 1,600 resources into the rams, no farm transition to fall back on, that was an all-in. The Barbican was a juicy target to go for, but it wasn't the right one. And in the end, with that choke point, with the double Nest of Bees, it just was not enough. And loueMT able to take the better trade there, utilizing the choke point, utilizing the siege. GG comes in. So Louis wins the set 3-2.
You know what? Like, I think this is why we need more lands in Age of Empires 4, because like at a moment like that, the crowd could have just been chanting ram 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 ram, and it would have encouraged him even further. VortiX, I don't think I know any other player. Maybe Kiliardi is the only other player in this tournament that would go that heavy-handed with ram to try and end it, but. I mean, props to him, right? In a way, they actually finished this series in their original roles. VortiX, the all-in aggressor, do or die. And then obviously on the other side, loueMT, the stout defender, able to pull through. Fantastic down there. And
Oh.
I mean, that's crazy. To think that, like, now loueMT is going to hack into Puppy Paw's PC and play up against Marine Lord next. This man's a psychopath.
Looks like next up is going to be Marine Lord versus Puppy Paw. I mean, Puppy Paw's looking a little bit different, though, doesn't he?
He is. I think it's the hair.
You know, like, every now and... I think Puppy Paw, he just tries very hard to, like, separate his star from Wham.
Yeah.
yeah. I think he's done something different this time around with his hair.
This is the... do you remember that movie, Nicolas Cage? Was it Nicolas Cage and Jet Li, where, like, he gets the full face change? So, like, he... This is literally that. and then
Marine Lord, looking the same as always, though.
Oh my god, wow. Okay, look at that. It's like
quick.
a Scooby-Doo villain reveal moment right there.
And I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids.
No, guys. Not Face Off. I'm thinking of... Was it Nicolas Cage? Maybe it wasn't Nicolas Cage. It's Jet Li and... Oh, no, sorry. It's Jason Statham's one I'm thinking of. It's Jet Li and Jason Statham, War. But, you know, the more obvious one would have definitely been Face Off. I just got to be more OG, you know? Oh, what a movie. What a cinematic experience we've been getting here, though. I mean, an epic series for sure, going all the way. Now, for those that are fans of VortiX, do not worry. Do not fret. He is still alive. It's just, you know, he could die 2 more times, basically. That's how this works.